Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik Approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.
Halo Sobat Semar, kini Anda bisa membayar UKT atau uang kuliah tunggal Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bima Mobile dari Bank Jateng. Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik Approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.
Halo Sobat Semar, kini Anda bisa membayar UKT atau uang kuliah tunggal Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bima Mobile dari Bank Jateng. Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu Beli Bayar. Ketiga, pada menu Beli Bayar, pilih bagian Pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu Pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Center for Fintech and Banking, UNS Fintech Center is the first fintech center of excellence in Indonesia. Universitas 11 Maret initiated as a leading firm with technology based in the financial sector. UNS Fintech Center upholds its stated value with deeds that keep promises to employees, customers, and the community through 4 key values: educating, innovating, collaborating, and disseminating. As an educational center in fintech and banking, UNS Fintech Center conducts insightful national and international seminars inviting prominent researchers and influencers from reputable universities and companies. More than 500 participants from around the nation have joined this program. To support innovation in the digital field, UNS Fintech Center develops products such as the first Universitas 11 Maret Marketplace and Digital Innovation in E-commerce ada di UNS. Dunia Akademi, an interactive online learning platform that offers a selection of knowledge and skill programs. Depositors Trust Index Survey, Narada, Financial Literacy Index, and Gascom. UNS Fintech Center collaborates with the Triple Crown financial regulator in Indonesia, which are Bank Indonesia, Indonesia Financial Services Authority, and Indonesia Deposit Insurance Corporation, including other banks, venture capital, and numerous reputable universities and industries. The research group itself has many articles that have been published in international and national reputable index journals. UNS Fintech Center also manages journal outlets, Sebelas Maret Business Review, and Bulletin of Fintech and Digital Economy. UNS Fintech Center is striving at the forefront in the improvement of accessible financial knowledge for communities. UNS Fintech Center, educate, innovate, collaborate, disseminate. sekarang banyak banget skill yang harus kita punya. Apalagi berhubungan dengan hal-hal digital. Andaikan ada kampus yang bisa memfasilitasi aku buat belajar hal digital kayak gitu ya. Tapi di mana ya?
Hei Mbak, boleh duduk?
Boleh, Mas.
Oke. Lagi bingung ya mau kuliah di prodi?
Iya nih, Mas.
FEB tahu?
Tahu.
Nah, FEB UNS lagi buka program studi baru Mbak. Namanya program studi S1 Bisnis Digital. Jadi memang khusus untuk S1 program sarjana.
Beneran Mas? Ada prodi yang bisa mewadai aku buat belajar tentang digitalisasi bisnis? Wow.
Tadi sih saya dengar Mbak bingung kan. Jadi kalau Mbak tertarik sama digital marketing, fintech, digital strategy, NFT begitu ya, kayaknya cocok sih Mbak. Kalau Mbaknya mau tahu lebih banyak, yuk ikut aku. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas 11 Maret, program studi S1 Bisnis Digital. Program studi S1 Bisnis Digital adalah program studi yang baru di lingkungan Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas 11 Maret untuk mencetak tenaga yang ahli di bidang pemasaran digital, keuangan digital, dan tata kelola digital.
Lalu yang membedakan dengan prodi bisnis lain apa ya, Mas?
Yuk, kita simak penjelasan dari Pak Dekan dan Kaprodi S1 Bisnis Digital.
Program studi S1 Bisnis Digital merupakan prodi baru Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas 11 Maret. Prodi tersebut mempersiapkan lulusan yang siap dan berkemampuan untuk masuk ke pasar bisnis digital. Besar harapan kami prodi S1 Bisnis Digital memiliki kontribusi besar di bidang keuangan digital, pemasaran digital, dan tata kelola digital baik di sektor pemerintah maupun sektor swasta.
Kalau kita melihat di data, jumlah UMKM di Indonesia saat ini ada sekitar 60 juta dan di tahun 2021 kemarin sekitar seperempatnya itu mulai terjun ke dunia digital. Mengapa? Utamanya mereka untuk menjangkau pasar yang semakin luas. Lulusan S1 Bisnis Digital Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis UNS itu kita kreasikan agar mereka itu lulusannya itu memiliki sense digital dari setiap bisnis yang nanti akan mereka buat sehingga pada akhirnya dapat berkontribusi positif pada perekonomian nasional. Selain itu, lulusan S1 Bisnis Digital itu juga kita proyeksikan untuk menjadi pimpinan apapun di perusahaan apapun nantinya, seperti manajer pemasaran digital, direktur strategi dan e-commerce, dan sebagainya. Kemudian dalam hal bidang keuangan, lulusan dari prodi ini juga kita desain untuk mengerti dunia keuangan perbankan terkini yang berada di lingkungan yang serba digital dan cenderung mendisrupsi keuangan konvensional.
Wah, keren banget. Lalu fasilitasnya apa aja Mas di sini?
Program S1 Bisnis Digital adalah bagian dari FEB UNS, di mana mahasiswa mendapatkan akses pembelajaran yang memadai seperti ruang perkuliahan yang memadai, laboratorium untuk penelitian dan praktik, tempat ibadah, sarana olahraga, perpustakaan, working space, career development, hingga auditorium. Di FEB UNS juga terdapat gedung kemahasiswaan yang menampung unit kegiatan mahasiswa sebagai wadah aktivitas kemahasiswaan untuk mengembangkan minat dan bakat seperti himpunan mahasiswa dan olahraga. Beberapa pelaksanaan teknis kegiatan MBKM sendiri diantaranya ada pertukaran pelajar baik dalam maupun luar negeri, kemudian ada program magang yang telah bekerja sama dengan berbagai instansi seperti OJK, BI, dan LPS. Ada pula riset yang dibimbing oleh dosen-dosen dengan pengalaman menerbitkan jurnal internasional berreputasi. Dan terakhir, ada wirausaha di mana dalam program ini menstimulasi mahasiswa untuk menjadi digital entrepreneur muda lewat materi, teori, maupun praktik. Gimana? Tertarik untuk daftar nggak?
Jelas dong, tertarik banget.
Yuk, mari gabung bersama kami di program studi S1 Bisnis Digital Universitas 11 Maret.
Halo Sobat Semar, kini Anda bisa membayar UKT atau uang kuliah tunggal Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bima Mobile dari Bank Jateng. Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik Approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.
The Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Sebelas Maret, has established its vision to be a leading school of economics and business at the national level and recognized at the international level.
Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas 11 Maret has established its vision to be a leading school of economic and business in Indonesia and internationally recognized by delivering high-quality teaching, excellent research, and community empowerment.
FEBUNS is a member of the AACSB, Association to Advance Collegiate School of Business. The Master of Management program of FEBUNS has been accredited by ABES 21, the Alliance on Business Education and Scholarship for Tomorrow, since 2016. While the undergraduate program in management and the undergraduate program in development economics have been certified by the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance since 2018 and 2019, respectively. Research outputs of FEBUNS have been among the top 5 in Indonesia. A number of articles written by academic staff have been published in prestigious, top-tier journals. Moreover, FEBUNS has been appointed and granted by several governmental institutions such as Bank Indonesia, Indonesia Financial Services Authority (OJK), and Indonesia Deposit Insurance Corporation, as well as international organizations such as World Bank and USAID to perform research collaborations. FEBUNS also plays a role in community development through several activities including community assistance, training and consultancy for micro and small enterprises, rural development, and many others. Students' participation in scientific, art, and sport competitions, both at the national and international level, is also strongly encouraged. Students also have opportunities to intern in corporations, governmental institutions, or non-governmental organizations. There are also opportunities for students to participate in international mobility programs. To accelerate the quality of education and research, FEBUNS has developed mutual partnership with a number of reputable overseas universities and institutions. Under the current dynamic circumstances, FEBUNS is also kindly offering some programs for the Independent Learning Initiative, Campus Merdeka, such as student exchange, both domestic and international, research, internship, entrepreneurship, humanity project, and rural development. The physical, social, and psychological environment of FEBUNS is well built with adequate infrastructure and based on environmentally friendly principles. Wireless internet connection is available throughout the entire campus, and students and staff can access it. The faculty also provides several laboratories, including a computer lab, mini bank lab, export-import lab, Sharia banking lab, Ramin bank lab, and investment gallery to support students' learning and research. During the COVID-19 pandemic, FEBUNS has kept the education delivered to students at a high level by transforming to a systematic and standardized online teaching and learning system. FEBUNS graduates have been recognized at the national level, and its alumni have occupied top positions in corporate and governmental agencies. Among them are Wimbo Santoso, who is currently the chairman of the Indonesia Financial Services Authority, OJK. Tony P. Juwono is the Deputy Governor of Bank Indonesia, the Central Bank of Indonesia. Didik Hartanto is the President Director of PT KAI, the Indonesian Railways Company. Haryanto is the owner of Dimension Footwear Group, which owns 2 reputable footwear brands in Indonesia with more than 30,000 employees.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas.
Yes. Hi, Professor John Goodell. Do you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, good. Maybe we can try if you can share your screen just to
Sure.
make sure that everything will go smoothly.
Second. There we are.
Okay. Maybe we can make it to full screen.
Yes, 1 second. How's that?
Halo Sobat Semar,
Okay, perfect.
kini Anda bisa membayar
Okay, I
UKT.
think we will start in 15 minutes, so you can wait in the Zoom. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Professor.
Thank you.
Ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah. Halo Sobat Semar, kini Anda bisa membayar UKT atau uang kuliah tunggal Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bima Mobile dari Bank Jateng. Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik Approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.
Halo Sobat Semar, kini Anda bisa membayar UKT atau uang kuliah tunggal Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bima Mobile dari Bank Jateng. Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik Approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.
The Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas Sebelas Maret, has established its vision to be a leading school of economics and business at the national level and recognized at the international level.
Faculty of Economics and Business, Universitas 11 Maret has established its vision to be a leading school of economic and business in Indonesia and internationally recognized by delivering high-quality teaching, excellent research, and community empowerment.
FEBUNS is a member of the AACSB, Association to Advance Collegiate School of Business. The Master of Management program of FEBUNS has been accredited by ABES 21, the Alliance on Business Education and Scholarship for Tomorrow, since 2016, while the undergraduate program in Management and the undergraduate program in Development Economics have been certified by the ASEAN University Network Quality Assurance since 2018 and 2019, respectively. Research outputs of FEBUNS have been among the top 5 in Indonesia. A number of articles written by academic staff have been published in prestigious, top-tier journals. Moreover, FEBUNS has been appointed and granted by several governmental institutions such as Bank Indonesia, Indonesia Financial Services Authority (OJK), and Indonesia Deposit Insurance Corporation, as well as international organizations such as World Bank and USAID to perform research collaborations. FEBUNS also plays a role in community development through several activities including community assistance, training and consultancy for micro and small enterprises, rural development, and many others. Students' participation in scientific, art, and sport competitions both at the national and international level is also strongly encouraged. Students also have opportunities to intern in corporations, governmental institutions, or non-governmental organizations. There are also opportunities for students to participate in international mobility programs. To accelerate the quality of education and research, FEBUNS has developed mutual partnership with a number of reputable overseas universities and institutions. Under the current dynamic circumstances, FEBUNS is also kindly offering some programs for the Independent Learning Initiative, Campus Merdeka, such as student exchange, both domestic and international, research, internship, entrepreneurship, humanity project, and rural development. The physical, social, and psychological environment of FEBUNS is well built with adequate infrastructure and based on environmentally friendly principles. Wireless internet connection is available throughout the entire campus, and students and staff can access it. The faculty also provides several laboratories, including a computer lab, mini bank lab, export-import lab, Sharia banking lab, Grameen bank lab, and investment gallery to support students' learning and research. During the COVID-19 pandemic, FEBUNS has kept the education delivered to students at a high level by transforming to a systematic and standardized online teaching and learning system. FEBUNS graduates have been recognized at the national level, and its alumni have occupied top positions in corporate and governmental agencies. Among them are Wimbo Santoso, who is currently the chairman of the Indonesia Financial Services Authority (OJK). Tony P. Juwono is the Deputy Governor of Bank Indonesia, the Central Bank of Indonesia. Didik Hartanto, Director of PT KAI, the Indonesian Railways Company. Haryanto is the owner of Dimension Footwear Group, which owns 2 reputable footwear brands in Indonesia with more than 30,000 employees.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik Approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.
Center for Fintech and Banking, UNS Fintech Center, is the first fintech center of excellence in Indonesia. Universitas Sebelas Maret initiated as a leading firm with technology based in the financial sector. UNS Fintech Center upholds its stated value with deeds that keep promises to employees, customers, and the community through 4 key values: educating, innovating, collaborating, and disseminating. As an educational center in fintech and banking, UNS Fintech Center conducts insightful national and international seminars inviting prominent researchers and influencers from reputable universities and companies. More than 500 participants from around the nation have joined this program. To support innovation in the digital field, UNS Fintech Center develops products such as the first Universitas Sebelas Maret Marketplace and Digital Innovation in E-commerce ada di UNS. Dunia Academy, an interactive online learning platform that offers a selection of knowledge and skill programs. Depositors Trust Index Survey, Narada, Financial Literacy Index, and GASCOR. UNS Fintech Center collaborates with the Triple Crown financial regulator in Indonesia, which are Bank Indonesia, Indonesia Financial Services Authority, and Indonesia Deposit Insurance Corporation, including other banks, venture capital, and numerous reputable universities and industries. The research group itself has many articles that have been published in international and national reputable index journals. UNS Fintech Center also manages journal outlets, Sebelas Maret Business Review, and Bulletin of Fintech and Digital Economy. UNS Fintech Center is striving at the forefront in the improvement of accessible financial knowledge for communities. UNS Fintech Center, educate, innovate, collaborate, disseminate.
Zaman sekarang banyak banget skill yang harus kita punya, apalagi berhubungan dengan hal-hal digital. Andaikan ada kampus yang bisa memfasilitasi aku buat belajar hal digital kayak gitu ya. Tapi di mana ya?
Hei Mbak, boleh duduk?
Boleh, Mas.
Oke. Lagi bingung ya mau kuliah di prodi apa?
Iya nih Mas.
FEB tahu?
Tahu.
Nah, FEB UNS lagi buka program studi baru Mbak. Namanya program studi S1 Bisnis Digital. Jadi memang khusus untuk S1 program sarjana.
Beneran Mas? Ada prodi yang bisa mewadai aku buat belajar tentang digitalisasi bisnis? Wow.
Tadi sih saya dengar Mbak bingung kan, jadi kalau Mbak tertarik sama digital marketing, fintech, digital strategi, NFT begitu ya, kayaknya cocok sih Mbak. Kalau Mbaknya mau tahu lebih banyak, yuk ikut aku. Selamat datang di Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Sebelas Maret, program studi S1 Bisnis Digital. Program studi S1 Bisnis Digital adalah program studi yang baru di lingkungan Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Sebelas Maret untuk mencetak tenaga yang ahli di bidang pemasaran digital, keuangan digital, dan tata kelola digital.
Lalu yang membedakan dengan prodi bisnis lain apa ya Mas?
Yuk, kita simak penjelasan dari Pak Dekan dan Kaprodi S1 Bisnis Digital.
Program studi S1 Bisnis Digital merupakan prodi baru Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas 11 Maret. Prodi tersebut mempersiapkan lulusan yang siap dan berkemampuan untuk masuk ke pasar bisnis digital. Besar harapan kami prodi S1 Bisnis Digital memiliki kontribusi besar di bidang keuangan digital, pemasaran digital, dan tata kelola digital baik di sektor pemerintah maupun sektor swasta.
Kalau kita melihat di data, jumlah UMKM di Indonesia saat ini ada sekitar 60 juta dan di tahun 2021 kemarin sekitar seperempatnya itu mulai terjun ke dunia digital. Mengapa? Utamanya mereka untuk menjangkau pasar yang semakin luas. Lulusan S1 Bisnis Digital Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis UNS itu kita kreasikan agar mereka itu lulusannya itu memiliki sense digital dari setiap bisnis yang nanti akan mereka buat sehingga pada akhirnya dapat berkontribusi positif pada perekonomian nasional. Selain itu, lulusan S1 Bisnis Digital itu juga kita proyeksikan untuk menjadi pimpinan apapun di perusahaan apapun nantinya, seperti manajer pemasaran digital, direktur strategi dan e-commerce, dan sebagainya. Kemudian dalam hal bidang keuangan, lulusan dari prodi ini juga kita desain untuk mengerti dunia keuangan perbankan terkini yang berada di lingkungan yang serba digital dan cenderung mendisrupsi keuangan konvensional.
Wah, keren banget. Lalu fasilitasnya apa aja Mas di sini?
Program S1 Bisnis Digital adalah bagian dari FEB UNS, di mana mahasiswa mendapatkan akses pembelajaran yang memadai seperti ruang perkuliahan yang memadai, laboratorium untuk penelitian dan praktik, tempat ibadah, sarana olahraga, perpustakaan, working space, career development, hingga auditorium. Di FEB UNS juga terdapat gedung kemahasiswaan yang menampung unit kegiatan mahasiswa sebagai wadah aktivitas kemahasiswaan untuk mengembangkan minat dan bakat seperti himpunan mahasiswa dan olahraga. Beberapa pelaksanaan teknis kegiatan MBKM sendiri diantaranya ada pertukaran pelajar baik dalam maupun luar negeri, kemudian ada program magang yang telah bekerja sama dengan berbagai instansi seperti OJK, BI, dan LPS. Ada pula riset yang dibimbing oleh dosen-dosen dengan pengalaman menerbitkan jurnal internasional berreputasi. Dan terakhir, ada wirausaha di mana dalam program ini menstimulasi mahasiswa untuk menjadi digital entrepreneur muda lewat materi, teori, maupun praktik. Gimana? Tertarik untuk daftar nggak?
Jelas dong, tertarik banget.
Yuk, mari gabung bersama kami di program studi S1 Bisnis Digital Universitas 11 Maret.
Off or switch to silent mode through this event. Your cooperation and attention are highly appreciated. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 11 Maret International Conference. on Digital Economy 2024. This conference is organized by Faculty of Economy and Business Universitas Sebelas Maret and Center for Fintech Universitas Sebelas Maret. This conference supported by Indonesia Endowment Fund for Education Agency or LPDP. And also we would like to thanks to our sponsor to support today's conference, Bank Jateng. A very good morning and warm welcome to the Honorable Professor John Goodell as a keynote speaker from Akron University, USA, Professor Kabir Hassan from University of New Orleans, USA as a keynote speaker, Professor Evan Lau from University Malaysia Sarawak as speakers, Professor Hoi Chiwoi from University Science Malaysia as speakers, and also Professor Irwan Trinugroho as Interim Vice Rector for Planning, Partnership, Business, and Information Universitas Sebelas Maret. He will join us in today's event shortly. And Professor Joko Suharjanto as the Dean of Faculty of Economy and Business, Dr. Dwi Prastiani as Interim Vice Dean for Academic Research, Student and Affairs Faculty of Economy and Business, Dr. Tastavian Riswandi as speakers and Interim Vice Dean for Planning, Partnership, Business, Faculty of Economy and Business, and to all participants. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's such an honor for me. My name is Aya Akmulia Asmarani Islam. I am your master ceremony for today's lovely morning representing Surakarta as the host for the international conference today. We are very glad to see all the participants here and appreciate you all for taking the time and effort to join us in this lovely room. Over 150 participants are gathering in Solo, the spirit of Java, to experience the beautiful city of Solo. Not only attend the international seminar, but also enjoying the city as well. I think we deserve to have a big round of applause for all of us today. Okay, I hope everyone will enjoy your stay and have this event a memorable one. The Excellencies, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, our first agenda is to singing the national anthem of Republic of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. We invite to all participants to raise. You may be seated. Okay, so we are fortunate to have Dean of Faculty of Economy and Business, Professor Joko Suharjanto. He will join us today. Thank you, Professor, for being here. You may be seated. Okay, so step up to the next agenda. We would like to invite Professor John Goodell from Akron University, USA, to deliver the keynote speech. Hello, Professor John Goodell.
Hello,
Nice to
everyone.
see you, Prof. Good morning
Nice
from
to see you.
Indonesia.
Good morning. Great to be with you once again. Thank you very much. Let me see
Okay,
if I can. Go ahead. Yeah.
okay, great. Are you ready, Prof?
Yeah, let me share my screen.
Okay,
And
then.
we should be
To
good.
Professor John Goodell, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So I'd like to talk about today something that is part of the great social division in the United States. And yes, I'm talking about ESG and environmental social governance. But I think there's a certain issue that's happening in the US that has very broad aspects to it, very meaningful aspects to academic finance, as well as actually ultimately implications for fintech. And I would say many other aspects of finance, including Islamic finance. So, as many of you are aware, the United States is a very divided country politically and socially, even dividing itself along different states. There's an election this year, very contentious. And something has been happening over the last couple of years and continues to happen that's reflective of those divisions and actually intersects the finance community and the finance industry. And that is, in the United States, we have a system of retirement where certain mutual funds will be designated as qualified to be pension funds. So in the US, when you get a job, you go to work and you contribute some to your retirement. Your employer matches it. They sometimes call that a 401k. And those funds go into, those monies go into funds that the employer has available. And there's certain tax benefits and qualifications. But generally speaking, since 1974 in the US, there's been a strict law. It's called ERISA laws, and that govern what funds can be eligible to be qualified for pensions. And one of the rules is that funds cannot weight their allocations based on values, or actually more strict wording is funds must weight their allocations strictly based on pecuniary reasons, that they have a fiduciary obligation to those that are investing in the fund, etc. But now along comes 25 attorneys general. Attorneys general in the US are the top legal authority at the state level, not the federal level. But you can see 25 attorneys generals would be roughly half the nation of the US are suing the federal government because the federal government under President Biden put in a new ruling through the Department of Labor that said it's okay for pension funds to adjust the weighting of what they hold based on ESG ratings. In other words, a pension fund can, according to the Biden ruling, can have more assets that are higher in ESG, be more social friendly. And this is actually, it may be surprising to many, but over the years has been not allowed in the US. And so the states have been suing the federal government over this. And we have a financial planning program at the University of Akron, and I kind of mentioned this, when it first started happening to some of my colleagues, and I was a little bit surprised that almost all of them said, "Oh, it's a no-brainer. Clearly, investing according to ESG is non-pecuniary, and so in violation of these regulations." Whereas in my reflexive, intuitive view, I actually thought, no, it isn't. That there's actually a really solid argument for ESG actually be having a pecuniary value, for it to make sense for mutual funds to target higher ESG investments.
Excuse me, Professor John Goodell.
Yeah.
I want to make sure your slide is working, because we are seeing your first slide only.
There we go. I'm clicking. I got it. Maybe you can see my second slide now.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
Great.
Thank
I
you.
tend to talk too much, but I'll get going. But so yeah, this is the lawsuit against the federal government, saying you can't allow funds to invest according to values, you see. And so it becomes a contention. And it's actually something really, really important to climate change. As we know that the US is one of the largest contributors globally to climate change, it's well known. And the other aspect that is important to keep in mind is that these funds that go into these pension funds, these monies, are of an immense, immense size, maybe $50 trillion at one time, at any point in time. And the real motivation against the lawsuit against ESG is from the fossil fuel industry. The fossil fuel industry, probably quite rightly, feels that if pension funds start to divest of fossil fuel industries in favor of higher ESG companies, really focusing on the E in ESG, that it will drive the value of fossil fuel companies down. And that's probably quite true, because the size of the funds under management is so gigantic that if these funds en masse start divesting of fossil fuel companies, it really will drive down the price of fossil fuel shares, raising their costs of capital, creating a ceteris paribus, all things equal, a disadvantage to fossil fuel companies as they increasingly compete against green energy, and so on. On the other hand, if they win the lawsuit, then the values of fossil fuel companies will be higher than they otherwise would be. In fact, there probably would be a wave of funds being more and more careful not to be perceived as weighting ESG, and therefore increase their allocation to fossil fuels, and which would raise values. So this has huge implications for the value of fossil fuel companies, their costs of capital, and ultimately the competition between green energy and fossil fuel energy, which has huge ramifications for the planet of all of us, because the US has huge impact on the world. But coming back to my initial reaction was, I thought, yeah, no, there's actually, I think, plenty of argument to plausibly say that ESG would have a pecuniary value. Maybe not everyone would agree, but in my view, to say to pension funds all across the United States that it's simply obvious that you can't weight your pensions according to ESG because it's non-pecuniary is not true. There's actually a whole lot of recent research that suggests that ESG actually has a pecuniary value. And my first thought was the theory of social trust, that because I come from, my earlier career was in cultural finance, And one of the pillars of cultural finance is related to transaction cost economics. The academics in the audience will readily recognize that seminal theory that everything in finance is contracts, everything involves asymmetric information, everything involves vetting of the asymmetric information before you can do a deal. And so when there's more trust in society, less vetting is needed, and all contracts and deals are done a little bit less costly. Whereas when there's less trust in society, we vet more. We have to incur more transaction costs to do business. And as Fukuyama said in his book in the 90s, Trust, a lack of trust is like a tax on all of society. So what does this have to do with ESG? Well, my first thought was, yes, ESG reflects good citizenship. And good citizenship probably also comes with being more trustworthy. It's seminal across finance that, like the whole theory of crash risk, equity price crash risk involves the idea that companies so-called hoard bad news. And then when there's bad times, this bad news is necessarily released, causing a surprise to investors and a sharp decline in the value of companies. But it would be reasonable, I thought, on the part of investors to think that companies that do more ESG, that are good citizens in one way, would also be good citizens in other ways and have less hoarding of bad news, less asymmetric information between management and investors, be more trustworthy, and therefore have more value. It's really a years-long argument from several decades. Oliver Hart won the Nobel Prize a few years ago for the whole notion of incomplete contracts and their inherent transaction costs. But I also and of course, replete through finance research. But I also thought, okay, somebody else could come along and say, yes, John, you say everything's contracts, everything's trust. ESG signals trust, therefore adds value, therefore is pecuniary. But somebody else could come along and say, everything in finance is agency. And what agents do is they try and cover over their bad doings. In other words, companies could target higher ESG ratings, invest in ESG to cover over actually their bad news hoarding and actually be doing more harm than good. Maybe ESG is actually a negative signal to the savvy investor that there's greenwashing or that there's negative behavior going. It's a plausible argument. And research actually has addressed both sides of the coin quite a lot. But as a side story, I would say, I remember when I was a child in the 1970s, I'm showing my age. And actually in the 1970s, when I was a kid, my dad was actually a finance professor. And there was a series of articles in the Wall Street Journal and indeed the mainstream press during some year in the 1970s where a con artist went to all the banks in London and convinced all these large banks to loan him money, even though he was a fraud. He was eventually caught. But after he was caught, there was one bank in London that declined to give this person money, this con artist. So naturally, people went to this bank and asked, why were you smarter than all the other banks and did not loan this con artist money? And their answer was shockingly simple. They said, well, it's quite simple. We would never loan money to someone that wore brown shoes, which I think to an Indonesian audience would be even more wildly absurd than to me. But yet in central London in banking, apparently the color of your shoes denotes a certain level of trustworthiness. The point being here, though, is cultures have different signals of trust. I might think it's completely ridiculous to worry about the color of shoes. Others might think that being more environmentally conscious maybe is not the best signal of trust. But when you have a law that's saying you cannot invest according to ESG, you cannot invest according to pro-social values, then you're coming up to being like, well, what signals of trust are okay and what are not, right? What's good for some is not for others, and vice versa, which actually has a lot of ramifications for many things, and I think of interest to the audience. For instance, Islamic investment funds are currently not qualifiable as pension funds in the US. You can invest in them, but they won't count for tax purposes and be offered through your employer as part of the national pension system, because it's considered investing in Islamic finance funds as being investing in values that are non-pecuniary. However, the same argument that I'm applying to ESG could be applied to Islamic funds. Maybe not the same meaning to everyone, but Islamic finance presents pro-social, more trustworthy, therefore arguably adding value, right? Public goods go together. When you weight according to environmental, social governance, it may not always be the case. There may be places where there's certain values are really high and maybe other values not so much. But it depends, of course, subjectively on what is a value to people, right? The other aspect I would say that touches on fintech here with this lawsuit is we live in an age where how we conduct research as academic finance is changing a lot through machine learning. A pillar of fintech now is, throughout the history of academic finance, we would argue from a theoretical framework, we would present hypotheses, we would test hypotheses. And yes, you can do that with machine learning. But the essence of machine learning comes from a very different place, especially when it's applied in applications in banking. And that place is where you throw in all kinds of factors, even if you don't really have a reasoning for them, and you see what fills out the area of the curve. In this particular project, which we have not published, we've worked with a really, really large global financial institution, which I have a non-disclosure with. I'm not allowed to say who it is. You would all know. And what we're looking at is designing money laundering alert models. And because money laundering alert can be very costly if you get a false positive, because then it goes to the next step and it actually involves human beings and it costs money. So we dumped all kinds of factors into our model, including the black box of the financial institution, where they wouldn't even tell us what was inside the black box. But at the end of the day, in a kind of a very unsettling way, we found that simply the national culture of the sender and receiver will actually fill out 80% under the curve of the machine learning. In other words, 0.8 is a really high area under the curve in machine learning, and national culture of either the sender or the receiver of the electronic wire would explain actually accurately a huge preponderance of money laundering alerts, where the more individualist countries are more likely to do a fraudulent money transfer. And of course, the most individualist country is the United States. So that adds a lot of irony to this. But coming back to the topic of ESG, saying, oh, funds cannot weight according to ESG, is I would argue to the people that are promoting that idea, go ahead and do that, but you're opening the door to considering a lot of other things, because across the board in finance now, there are algorithms, and often we don't even see inside the algorithms. We don't know what factors, of course, the cynic in me would say maybe somebody's designing a smartphone app that'll be detecting what color of shoe you're wearing, and so on and so forth. But there's apps, of course, in some countries that know how often you're up late at night, or how often you buy alcohol, and all kinds of things. But the point being that, are we going to ban the use of all factors? Maybe so. Maybe that's a good idea, but be careful of what you legislate. Times are changing. And so ESG, ultimately, I would say, is just one thing among many things that could be argued in different contexts. Of course, ESG in this lawsuit relates specifically to the ERISA laws and pensions, but nevertheless, and there's actually strong empirical evidence that firms with higher ESG are more resilient, especially during crisis, right? This was an early paper in the ESG kind of wave of research that I was involved with a couple colleagues. And we presented both theoretical arguments. One was that from a trust perspective and a signaling perspective, higher ESG would add value, especially during crises, make stocks less likely to have a price crash risk. And alternatively, the agency theory would say, no, they're more likely to have a stock price crash risk because ESG is just a silly cosmetic thing that covers over bad behavior. But we found very strong evidence that indeed ESG makes firms more resilient and less likely to have a stock price crash, especially during crises, right? And another paper, I mean, there's many papers, just to briefly mention a couple papers here, where we actually took the care during COVID to find purely domestic firms. Of course, that's a bit illusory, but we focused on firms that did no importing or exporting, and actually a surprising number. And because we wanted to try and isolate the anti-COVID effect, the various measures that were put into social distance, enforced social distance. And we found again, that firms that engage in ESG are far more resilient during difficult times. And our notion here was, again, the trust argument, that ESG creates trust, that investors think there's less hoarding of bad news, and so they will be more resilient during crises. But, and of course, there's many, many papers on this, including many papers in Research in International Business and Finance that I'm the editor of. And I mean, this is a list of papers that show, yes, ESG adds value, as well as a list of papers that show it doesn't make any difference. I mean, this is growing every day. We could probably do 20 more slides with such lists, right? The point is, if you're going to say that funds cannot invest according to values, you don't really need to prove the case definitively one way or the other. You have to simply say that there's simply no reasonable person would ever think that ESG could add value. And of course, that's preposterous now in the wake of all this research. It's simply quite plausible that an individual reasonable person might think, a fund manager might think that
Excuse me,
ESG
Professor?
adds value. Yeah.
I'm afraid your time is 5 minutes left.
Okay, I'll go through here. It's quite quick. Is an interesting study here shows that actually a huge number of mutual funds in the United States weight to ESG, but they make no mention of it. So in finance, we say signals cost, but what if signals are unintentional? And is it really just that ESG is an intangible, the argument of Edmonds? I would say no, it's a reflection of values. And in the US, it's been described as a leftist movement, kind of a wacko movement. So we responded. We went to Confucius, and we went and measured the intensity of Confucianism across China, finding that in more traditional Confucian areas, firms rate higher on ESG. ESG is not a new value-oriented thing, but rather grounded in deep, deep conservative traditions. And so this thing goes on. There's various tests in the US. There's a new contest in New York. A judge has ruled in some instances that since the Biden administration actually wrote very cleverly in their document that ESG could offer value, that the judge said, well, it's the White House call, but there's other contests in New York and so on. And I would say here, just to say that it's really quite analogous to Islamic equity funds. There's research here. Here's one example of a paper that shows that Islamic equity funds were more resilient during crises. They also signals trust. So the ESG decision has a very good likelihood to then, by precedent, open up the pathway for Islamic equity funds, Islamic investment funds to become qualified pension funds in the United States, which would add enormously to their possibilities of drawing funds. And so I would say that, in conclusion, in my view, ESG is pecuniary. It's impossible anymore to bar pension funds or any fiduciaries from weighting their allocations based on values. It's simply impractical in the age of machine learning to say one factor is simply not allowable. And it is part of a broader cultural war, but I think it will actually make a lot of changes in a lot of ways that are unforeseen. So thank you for your kind attention. And I'll turn it back over to our MC. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Professor John Goodell, for your wonderful
pleasure.
keynote speech.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us virtually. I think it's from Ohio, right?
Yes, in Ohio. Yes, it's evening here. But a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor John Goodell.
Thank you. Good luck with
Okay, then.
your rest of your
before
meeting.
we see the... Okay, thank you, Professor. Before we Dean of Faculty of Economy and Business to Professor Joko Suharjanto, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Respected to the speaker, Professor Kabir Hasan, Professor Hui Chi Wu, Professor Evan Lu, and Dr. Tastavian, and all head of study program and leader within the Faculty of Economic and Business Universitas Sebelas Maret. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the 2024 Sebelas Maret International Conference on Digital Economy. It is my honor and privilege to stand before you Today, as we gather to explore the ever-evolving landscape of digital economy and its profound impact on global business. It is the era of rapid technological advance. The digital economy has emerged as transformative force, reshaping industry, society, and economic worldwide. As we confirm here, we recognize the role that digital technology play in driving innovation, fostering entrepreneurship, and driving sustainable economic growth. In this conference, a total of 100 papers from more than 30 universities, both from Indonesia and abroad, will be presented in 18 rooms and divided into 4 parallel sessions conducted in a hybrid format, online and offline. The conference will be chaired by academics and experts in their respective field. In organizing this conference, Faculties of Economic and Business collaborate with highly reputable journal index in Scopus, such as International Journal of Economic and Middle Eastern Finance and Management, the International Journal of Economic and Management, the International Journal of Business and Society, the Asian Academic of Management Journal of Accounting and Finance, the International Journal of Trade and Global Market, and the International Journal of Monetary Economic and Finance. We believe that having journal partner and organizing a conference is important, as it can open opportunities the participants to publish their work in faster way. We extend our gratitude to all participants who attend the present and their paper and the conference. We hope Prof. Irwan Trinugroho for all the support in this event. We also like to thank the keynote speaker, Professor John Goodell, Professor Kabil Hasan, for their time and dedication in sharing time thought about the conference topic. Additionally, we express our gratitude to the speaker and expert who also dedicated their time and expertise to this event. Prof. Evan Lau, Prof. Wu Chiwu, and Dr. Tastavian. On behalf of the conference organization committee, I hope that this event can serve as catalyst for development and growth of the digital economy in Indonesia. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Joko Suharchanto, for delivering his warm remarks today. So, proceed to the next agenda. I would like to humbly invite Professor Kabir Hasan to deliver the keynote speech. So, Professor Kabir Hasan, you may proceed to the stage.
But I need to see my slides.
This one is for next. Okay, this one is for next and previous. You can point to the operator.
Oh, over there. But I need to see, where is my computer?
You can see that in that.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
I want to thank UNS and the organizer for inviting me to share my thoughts on digitalization, fintech, and Islamic finance. So, you know, there is a disruption going on. The banking industry is being transformed by financial technology, similar to how Uber disrupted taxi, Airbnb took up hospitality industry. Neglecting to address this digital shift early on can lead to the downfall of even the most dominant companies. We know the story of Kodak, downfall due to its refusal to embrace digital technology serves as a working warning to all companies and a reminder to innovative startups that even the largest corporations can become susceptible to failure. So the rise of fintech, over the past few years, fintech has emerged. What is it? So over the past few years, fintech has emerged as a major challenger and disruptor to the formerly traditional banking industry, and its rise to a global industry worth over $100 billion has been fueled by innovative banking services that provide increased efficiency and reduced cost. A rise in smartphone usage, consumers reliant on technology, and the removal of some regulatory barriers have all contributed to the growth of fintech. So the disruption that is happening, fintech innovations like peer-to-peer lending and crowdfunding are replacing traditional banking services and providing alternative lending platforms. Apple Pay, Samsung Pay are disrupting traditional payment systems. Blockchain technology has allowed the rise of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, creating challenges for regulators and financial markets. Stock trading apps and robo-advisors are challenging traditional investment and wealth management models, putting pressure on banks and forcing them to reconsider their strategies. New entrants are breaking apart previously integrated segment of the banking industry to access the large profit pools available. So becoming digital, so there are 9 key technological aspects are on the horizon. We have the artificial intelligence, simulation of human intelligence in machine. We have 3D printing, production of physical items layer by layer. We have Internet of Things, connection of devices to the internet, blockchain technology, digital ledger in which transactions are recorded chronologically and publicly. You have the remote sensing, scanning of the earth by satellite or high-flying aircraft. You have robotics, machines that resemble living creatures and do mechanical tasks on command. And we have connected devices, innovative gadgets connected to networks worldwide. So if you look at the technology innovation and adoption rates are accelerating. For example, if you look at right-hand side of this graph, how many years it took to penetrate the 25% of the market. If you take electricity was invented in 1873, and it took 46 years to penetrate 25% of the market. If you look at the bottom 3, Internet was invented in 1991. It only took 7 years to penetrate 25% of the market. Facebook, invented 2004. It took 4 years to penetrate 25% of the market. And if you look at iPhone, it was invented or came to the market 2007. It only took 3.5 years to penetrate 25% of the market. So I was just trying to tell you this data that how fast this technology is moving. But at the same time, the cost of this technology is falling apart. For example, hard drive cost per gigabyte from 1998 to 2009. So the data shows this is linearly declining. What it means, it is becoming more accessible to the consumers and the users of this technology. If you look at internet has become a sort of mainstream network. Anywhere you go, some of the European countries has made internet as a public good. So everybody has access to it. If you go to Norway, it's a huge country. There are remote areas. You can connect with the rest of the countries to the internet technology. Now, if you look at online market also grow very rapidly. US e-commerce, the growth rate, if you look at online retail sales and the online retail channel share is increasing, constantly and exponentially. If you look at the market value, for example, Amazon and Walmart. Walmart, where you go physically, Amazon, you do everything online. If you look at the market value of those who are not adopting information technology, their market value is going down. Like Sears, for example, Sears no longer exists. Its market value in 2006 was only 27 billion, and it fell to 1.1 billion in 2016 and is now out of business. If you look at the last two, Walmart, 2014 billion in 2006, and it fell to 2012, decline in value, whereas Amazon, 17.5 billion was in 2006, and it went to almost $356 billion. The value is increasing. If you live in the United States, you cannot live without Amazon anymore. You can live literally your life confined to your house. Everything will be, distributed or brought to your doorstep. And if you look at the big data is taking over the market, is big data market forecast, the way it is going 2026, it will be $85 billion industry. Now, even one technological implementation can change the whole supply chain process. If you look at the traditional supply chain, those that come from that tradition, so you have the raw materials, you have the wholesale, you have the manufacturer, and the distribution channel, then it goes to retail, then to the customer. The new supply chain model, you just tell someone the raw materials, there's a design and 3D printer, and you make your order, and then the commodity or whatever you want, the machine comes to your doorstep. So you are reducing the steps involved using this new supply chain method. So how does it work in finance? So if you look at the financial services activities, so if you look at the digital technology, this is one of the problems with technology too. Not all good. Okay. So if you look at the digital technology on the left-hand side, you have the distributed ledger technology, big data, Internet of Things, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, biometric technology, augmented virtual reality, and you have different services that are available in banking or financial service industry, for example, payment service, advisory and agency services, investment and trading, lending and funding, insurance, security, operations, and communication. So digitalization brings important improvement in financial services. So you have high standardization, you have highly automated function, you have faster performance, you have insight-driven functions, improved customer and employee experience, you have a better service delivery, you have a low cost of service. There is also the structural implication of the fintech innovation, competitive challenge to incumbent service providers. The example that I have given you, Walmart versus Amazon, the valuation, new business models and product design, temporal issues related to financial innovations, the competitive response of incumbents, and concerns about the regulatory parameters. So what are the potential opportunities? Now, if you look at the digitalization lowers the cost of providing financial services by 80 to 90%. When it costs down, it means the valuation increases. If you look at the tech or technological stock, even in your country or in the United States, all over the world, is increasing. These are, if you want to invest, safely, of course there's a risk involved, the technological investment are doing great. Now, what does digital finance will do to the developing world? It could have a great impact. There is an estimate done by McKinsey. The world GDP can grow by $3.7 trillion, or 6% of the GDP by 2025. It can create 95 million new jobs. Out of this, 1.6 billion newly included individuals, 4.2 trillion in new deposits, $110 billion annual reduction in government leakage, and $2.1 trillion in new credit. So it's a huge impact of this digitalization. So digitalization can support to reach SDG goals, easing the barriers to financing the SDGs. Digitalization impact pathways the empowerment of citizens, regulatory and policy implications, and better risk-benefit assessment. Now, there are out of 17 SDG goals, those who study this, it can impact 10 of the 17 SDG goals. So let me show you two. Poor people and small businesses are able to invest in their future. More government aid can reach the poor as leakage is reduced. And you have seen this during COVID in this country. The government could send their money through the digital technology to the customers. If you take zero hunger, another goal, the farmers are better able to invest during planting seasons and smooth consumption between harvest. More food aid reaches the poor as leakage is reduced. And there are 10 different goals that can be achieved. So, but it also creates a new risk and challenges with digitalization, escalation of the data privacy and security challenges. So your life is no longer private. Believe me, somebody has data on you. Whatever you do from morning until evening, there could be unethical artificial intelligence. You know, this lady sued against OpenAI that OpenAI has, recorded or showing her voice without taking permission. Digitalization, totalitarianism, surveillance, and state. It can really control your life. Your life will no longer be under your control. Somebody will control your life from outside. This is a huge risk there. Risk of winner take all the models and monopoly power. So there will be digital divide. It's not really on the basis of wealth. Greater digital device, as I said, low development and public sector capacity to take advantage of opportunities. Now, how does it connect with Islamic fintech? Now, funds originating from Muslim countries do not necessarily contribute to Islamic financial assets. There's one estimate show that financial institutions in the OECD countries receive most of the funds originating from Muslim countries. It is estimated the sovereign wealth fund from these countries invested in OECD countries to about $3 trillion. But that money could have been invested in other poor Muslim countries, but instead it goes to the OECD countries to fuel their economic growth. The Islamic capital market, which include outstanding sukuk and wealth management fund, have aggregate assets worth $671 billion. These funds could be invested there. Within Islamic countries, the number of unbanked are still high. Access to financial service is crucial for measuring prosperity and quality of life worldwide, including deposit banking, payment ease, credit access, investment opportunities. Account ownership in OIC member countries is much lower, 41%, compared to high-income countries, which is 92%. Religious reasons are cited 5% more often as the reason for not having an account in OIC member countries, highlighting the significant role of Islamic finance fintech can play in addressing this gap. So this is the figure, 92% versus 41%. High-income countries, 1% for values or religious reason, but OIC countries is about 6%. Muslim population is young. While digitally savvy, the global Muslim population, which includes over half of a global population of individuals under 34 years of age and is growing. A population that is digitally adept represents the future customer base for financial services and is a significant driving force for change in the industry. This tech-savvy population is receptive to fintech solution and is empowering young entrepreneurs to create challenges that cater to their digital needs. Islamic fintech is expected to increase Islamic finance market share through 6 financial services. Islamic financial asset can be divided into 6 different categories, including funding, trade finance, financing capital market, wealth management, and takaful. So if you look at the smartphone penetration, Indonesia, out of the OIC Muslim countries, I didn't know that, 66%. So many of the Indonesians are in the top of the ladder. Now, as I said, there are 6 financial services. The DINA standard has come up with the study. So if you look at the funding, the financial services, Islamic financial services custody-based deposit can also be based on card, investment accounts, Sharia-compliant payment, collection, and liquidity management. And some of the fintech startup or companies, example, Pay Halal, you probably heard about this, Amol Pay, Malaysia, investment account platform, IIP, also in Malaysia. If you look at the trade finance, Murabaha Working Capital, Murabaha Wakala, Mudaraba Letter of Credit, Waqf Bahrain, digital banking platform provider. If you look at the financing, Murabaha, Mudaraba, Musharaka, Salam, Istisna, Ijara financing, and Islamic microfinance, Ethics Crowd, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Australia, they are making a very big inroad. I'm sure you heard about Ethics Crowd financing. You have heard about Blossom Finance. There are some examples, the players in the industry. Capital market, Islamic Bank Treasury, Sukuk, Islamic Bond. You have the Adab Solution, Crypto Exchange, Wealth Management, Sharia-compliant wealth management for retail, high net worth individuals. You have the Wahed, which US is a robo-advisory investment platform. You have a Hello Gold, it's a blockchain-based investment. Then, of course, you have the Takaful and the Re-Takaful Use-Lived Mutual. Now, Islamic fintech and Islamic social finance, very often we ignore. Islamic fintech caters to both voluntary and involuntary unbanked population in OIC countries. The concept of profit and loss sharing requires that entrepreneurs and Islamic financial institutions share transaction risk, ultimately leading to increased wealth for related individuals and SMEs. The Islamic principle zakat, sadaqah, and waqf allow to charitable contributions that distribute income to the unbanked and poor, allowing them to access financial services. The financial inclusion resulting from Sharia-compliant financial services, along with inherent Islamic social finance, could allow the achievement of various related sustainable development goals. So these are the Islamic fintech and financial inclusion involuntary unbanked Islamic fintech can reach to enter gamut, those who do not have money, do not have proper documentation, they have live in remote areas, other family member already has a bank account, lack of trust in the financial system. Islamic fintech can fill this gap. Of course, there's a religious reason. Now, Islamic microfinance is an instrument to effective alleviation of poverty in OIC countries. And Islamic microfinance difference is very huge in Indonesia. Microfinance providers short-term financing with tenure less than 12 months. The amount is less than $500. Minimal documentation required, and the targeted customer base that is usually ignored by banks, such as individuals looking to start micro business, are characteristics of microfinance. Fintech allows Islamic finance to increase financial inclusion and contribute to fulfilling SDG goals. Fintech can enhance Islamic finance by improving credit scoring, expanding reach to remote areas, reducing costs for both parties, directing funds to appropriate segments, and enhancing regulatory compliance. Blossom Finance, as an example, issuance of blockchain-based smart sukuk or small denomination is an example of fintech-driven Islamic finance. Now, what is the roadmap for future Islamic fintech? So we need to leapfrog Islamic financial services to reach and the impact, the government and regulators balancing customer protection and fintech growth. Government in Malaysia, Indonesia, your country, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain have initiated incubators and accelerators. However, as fintech's impact grows, governments are taking measures to prevent misuse as well. A balance must be found between regulation required for customer protection and preserving the growth of this fintech industry. Governments need to be one step ahead to promote a healthy fintech ecosystem. Proactive regulation is imperative for fintech sustained growth in regulation, such as Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, providing good example of this approach. In contrast, requirements like ISO certification in Indonesia for fintech companies do not offer any significant benefits to customers, but are adding to the cost of offering financial services. Investors should target Islamic fintech to tap into large Muslim market. In 2018, an estimated $500 million worth of margin acquisition transaction occurred within Islamic finance, with very little Islamic fintech-related investment noted. IFIs should be actively looking to acquire developing Islamic fintech to boost their operations and time to market. Now, risk of the Islamic fintech and potential mitigation again. Convenience in borrowing could lead to being trapped into debt. Financialization, which we want to avoid. Mobile, Sharia-compliant person-to-person financing allows financial inclusion by accessing unbanked population regardless of the reasons that had caused the customer's absence. New methods of scams and fraud could emerge. P2P finance offers convenience where credit approvals can be granted within minutes based upon personal data and telephone numbers. I'm sure in your lifetime you have seen your Facebook account was hacked and somebody was asking for money. It happened with me recently. Lack of financial infrastructure could result in unbanked population. In the US, prospective customers can open bank or investment accounts simply by entering specific personal information, which is automatically checked against government records. AI, artificial intelligence, could lead customers to acquire products or services they do not need due to a lack of understanding. So that could be overselling, that could be scam. They will try to get people into buying something they do not need. Now, Islamic finance as an alternative. Islamic finance centers on moral and human values as well as sharing. It prioritizes social justice. It creates a positive social impact. It approves products and services that are linked to real economy. And its significant potential to encompass all humanity. It's not only for Muslim, it is for all faith tradition. Now, future of finance, there should be more risk sharing and less risk shifting. Uncertainty is a natural part of economic and social life. Economic actors make various forecasts about future in light of information available to them. Based upon their past experience, economic actors turn uncertainty into measurable risk. So if you look at this figure, the uncertainty which cannot be measured, then we transform into risk measurement through different statistical tools. Then it translates into 3 different arenas. So you can, the risk that is being created, you can share the risk with the other party. It could be positive sum game. You can transfer the risk to other party. Then it could be a zero-sum game. You can shift the risk to other party. It could be a negative sum game. So what Islamic finance does, it promotes this risk-sharing finance. So when it comes to product development in Islamic finance, we can use the fintech technology to create more socially desirable Islamic finance product, and that will lead to a better humanity. So we are looking at Islamic finance as a value-based finance. We want a paradigm shift. Current financial system there is instability. We want to move to stability. In the current financial system, there's a lot of deception. We want to bring it to transparency. Unfortunately, Islamic finance industry is not transparent. From deregulation, we want to go to regulation for the benefit of the entire humanity. We want to move from a value-neutral world to a timeless value. And thank you very much. That is my presentation. You can read my book. So it is based upon not only my book, writings of other people and other research reports. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Professor Kabir Hassan. So maybe we can give him a big applause once more. Okay, Professor, you may be seated. Okay, so before we proceed to the next agenda, we have a short announcement. I would like to remind all of the participants here, we will have a parallel session that we will start after lunch break at 1 p.m. sharp. And then, okay, and then we have the parallel room is in the 6th floor in the Saripatejo room 1, Saripatejo room 2, 3, and Saripatejo room 4, and also Kraton ballroom. And you must be ready 15 minutes before parallel session started. And don't forget, please stay on the ballroom until the session is end, because we will announce for the best paper for this conference. Okay, I think, is there any question for Professor Kabir Hassan? Maybe is there any question from participant? Okay, Dr. Tastafian Rizvandi.
Okay, Prof, I have questions, and this is regarding whether really the Islamic finance, it will has a significant impact on the development of digitalization, or maybe it is in other way.
Excellent question. I think it's the other way. Digitalization, actually, all the criticism or misconception or confusion about the current development of Islamic finance industry probably will go away or will be minimized, because digitalization will bring more transparency. It will help product development better, because one of the key concern of Islamic finance industry, from my own understanding, analyzed data, is the non-transparency. So it will be more transparent, like blockchain technology, you cannot hide any information. So to answer your question, from digitalization, it will move to a better Islamic finance industry, better product development, more product that cater to the need of the society. Right now, the products that are being developed by Islamic banking itself, catering to a certain segment of the society, the corporate sector. It is really ignoring the masses. And that's where the Islamic microfinance in this country, you have Tamlik, you have a different BMT, that way is being reaching to the poorer section. This is what we want, right? Historically, there has been rich and poor and rich. But all faith tradition, whether any tradition that Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, that faith tradition came in to bring a balance, to reduce the divide between rich and poor. And Islam, in that long tradition of faith tradition, emphasizes very strictly about this gap. And that gap will be minimized if you can properly utilize the digitalization, fintech, or digital technology.
Yeah, once again, but we know that when we are a Muslim and we want to exploit the digitalization or digital finance in our life, of course there are something that we cannot make it in 100%. For example, in Islamic finance, we cannot use like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or other currency which has no backed up assets, something like that. So, do you think that because in Islamic finance everyone is regulated based on the Sharia, do you think that the adoption in Islamic finance will be less than in the conventional finance, or maybe you have other perspective for this?
No, actually, the first assumption that you're making, the Bitcoin, whether it's halal or haram, there has been a Sharia debate going on. And I have a paper in Arab Law Quarterly. This current understanding of the religious establishment, they are uncertain about this thing. So my take on this thing, because it's a new technology, a lot of unknowns, let it grow, and there will be a point, let's say some aspect is not Islamic, or it does not conform with the Sharia, then we can make it a Sharia compliant, taking out the haram or the unacceptable element. Remember, this Mudaraba concept existed even before our Prophet came. And he has taken the existing from history, because this is a common heritage. He took those contracts and take the haram part out and let it continue. I think the same thing will happen in this new assets or crypto asset, the currencies that are coming up. You have to also understand this is totally new. I mean, the istihad, we have never really confronted AI. I can create yourself, Andy, you know, you're talking to you right now, actually you are not. And this whole virtual reality you can create. So we have to give them space rather than saying haram, haram, haram. I'm not in that direction. So
thank you very much.
We have to be optimistic.
Okay, Professor Kabir Hassan, you may be seated. Thank you.
You guys don't have any question for me? Okay, they do.
Okay, once more.
She needs a phone. Sorry, microphone. You always give chance to Andy because he's your boss. How about the have-nots?
Okay, good morning. I am Sabrina, lecturer from University of Muhammadiyah Karanganyar, Prof. Okay, I want to ask you about, you tell us before that financial technology can be adopted too in rural areas, yeah, in unbanked population like that. And what do you think? How to improve its financial technology to urban sector compared to rural sector compared to urban area? What's the difference?
You know, first of all, if you look at my understanding, as I show you the number, 66, this is a little bit old data. The Indonesia, because of its 10,000, remotely controlled, so one effective way of communicating one area to the other is the digital iPhone or the cell phone. And the cell phone, I mean, technology can be used very properly in order to reach to the rural areas. Like in my country, originally I'm from Bangladesh, during this COVID area, government wanted to give money to the poor people. So they used very effective the cell phone technology. The money went to their account. Same thing can be done in Indonesia too. And I know that the Indonesian government is doing it. And one of the things I must say, because I travel quite extensively, I deal with, work in Islamic finance area, Indonesia actually started with the right model in a holistic way. It was not just looking at one industry or the other industry. Malaysia, for example, you start with the banking, then you come with capital market. But Indonesian blueprint is Indonesian economy, Islamic economy is a holistic way of bringing everything together because you cannot separate one from the other. One of the things I like to talk and give, I'm sure I have given some online to Muhammadiyah before, Islamic social finance needs to be brought forward. You cannot make a bank do everything for us because bank is not designed to do everything for us. Because the model it is, all it can do can give you trade financing or short-term working capital financing. But in order to remove poverty or reduce poverty, you need Islamic social finance. There are tools available. One example that I can tell you, in the Quran, like we have Qardul Hassan. Do you have any Qardul Hassan-based microfinance? Probably not, or maybe, but you can follow the example Akhwat that has been done, successful work in Pakistan, for example. Another tradition is Waqf. Muhammadiyah is an example. Waqf has been an institution, and that institution has been diluted or has become ineffective by the colonial powers. We need to bring it back. If you bring these two together, you see wonder will happen to everybody living in this society, in this country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Kabir Hassan, for the fruitful keynote speech. You may be seated.
You want me to see it all this, right?
Thank you very much. Okay, moving forward to the next agenda, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite Professor Irwan Trinugroho as the Interim Vice Rector for Planning, Partnership, Business and Information, Universitas Sebelas Maret, to Professor Irwan Trinugroho. You may proceed to the stage. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. So thank you so much for all of my friends here. So all the speakers are close friend of mine. I have been known Professor Kabir Hassan almost 10 years ago, and the first time I met him. And then my two colleagues from Malaysia, Professor Evan Launa from University Malaysia Sarawak, then Professor Hui from University Science Malaysia. We have been in correspondence, I think, almost 10 years, already almost 10 years. And also my friends joining via Zoom, John Goodell. Are you here? No? You already leave the platforms, right? Okay, and also the other speaker is coming from UNS, the rising star of UNS, Pak Andi, Tastaftian. He is the rising star of UNS now. And he is, I think, the man behind this event, right? Okay. So thank you, Pak Andi, for organizing this excellent conference, and also all of the participants of the Sebelas Maret International Conference on Digital Economics. So first of all, thank you for participating in this conference. So I think this is the second conference of this Sebelas Maret Conference on Digital Economy. If I'm correct? Okay. So this is the second, but I think you forgot to put the seconds, right? So I think it's better to brand with the seconds, third, and so on and so forth, because the more the number of the conference that you already did, the more attractive the conference will be. So this conference is basically organized by the Faculty of Economic and Business of the university, and also the Center for Fintech and Banking of UNS. So UNS is, I'm not saying that top in finance in Indonesia. No, but according to the QS World University ranking by subject, so UNS is at the fourth in Indonesia for the subject of accounting and finance. So just behind the Gajah Mada, University Indonesia, and Universitas Airlangga. So the only subject of UNS included in the QS World University by subject is only accounting and finance and economic and econometrics. So, people from hard sciences, they don't have their names in the QS World University ranking by subject. Only 2 subjects from the Faculty of Economic and Business. Okay. But this is a long story to explain why only 2 subjects of UNS included in the QS World University ranking by subject. As I mentioned before, I know I have a contact with Kabir since Professor Kabir Hasan since 10 years ago, with Evan, with Hui, so many times. So we build the reputation, we build collaboration, we build international partnership since more than 10 years ago. So that's why today the only subject of UNS included in the QS World University ranking only 2 subjects in the discipline of economics and business. Okay. So what else? I think, of course, the goal of the conference is not only, disseminating the papers, but also, of course, Indonesian peoples, they like to not only presenting, but also having a chance to publish their paper in the journal. So I think that's good if the organizing committee, they, invite some good journals to be the affiliated partner of the conference. But you have to note that it is not guarantee of your paper after presenting to be selected as the published paper in the affiliated journal. You have to follow the review process of the journal. So do not expect marks on that kind of issues. So you have to be careful in attending the conference. They put the name of the journals, but you have still, your paper have to, follow the review process of the journal and pass the rigor standard of the journals. Okay. And but sometimes, having a conference, the good side of having a conference is, you have a partner, you have the network, and so on and so forth. So it's not only talking about, presenting paper, publishing paper, but also building a network is important. Okay. I think that's all that we can say. So of course, I thanks to Professor Kabir Hasan, Professor Ivan Lau, Professor Hui Chiwoy, Professor John Goodell for always supporting UNS in many ways. Professor Kabir Hasan is also part of the member of the UNS International Advisory Board. So every let's say regularly, he texts me about how to improve the, the internationalization of UNS and so on and so forth. And I reply in 30 seconds. If he, he always said that I reply every 30 seconds if he sends something to me. Yeah. So, because he is my advisor. Yeah. So, yeah. I'm not so productive now in research because of the, burden with so many administrative jobs. But, still, my main job is to, teaching and research. And administrative job is additional, assignment and so on. So, but, because 60% of my time is allocated for administrative, then, the number of publication and research is, getting lower and lower. Yeah. So I think my term will be end in August or September. So I think, so next year I will be more productive, hopefully. So that's all. Thank you so much. So hopefully you have a very fruitful discussion during the 1 day or 2 days conference? 1 day conference. So thank you so much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for Prof. Irwan for very warm remarks. I would like to request Prof. Irwan to place yourself in front of the stage, Prof, because the next agenda is token appreciation. So I would like to invite all of the speakers, Professor Kabir Hasan, Professor Evan Lau, and Professor Hui Chiwoy, and also Dr. Stavian Rizvandi to place yourself in front of the stage to receive the token appreciation from Universitas 11 Maret. Okay, so the first token of appreciation will be given by Professor Irwan Trinugroho to Professor Kabir Hasan. The second token of appreciation will be given by Professor Irwan Trinugroho to Professor Evan Lau. Well, the third token of appreciation is for Professor Hoi Ji-Yoon. Okay, the last token of appreciation is for Dr. Kastavian Rizvandi. So to capture this beautiful moment, I would like also to invite all speakers to take a group picture together in front of the stage, please. And I would like to invite Dr. Putra Pamungkas and Dr. Dila Maghrifani to join the photo session. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sebelas Maret International Conference on Digital Economy 2024. Okay, thank you. Back to your seat. Okay, now we are going to begin the plenary session with a theme navigating digital transformation in an era of global volatility. I would like to invite here on stage the moderator of this session, Dr. Dila Maghrifani. Please give a big applause for her. So, Dr. Dila Maghrifani, you may proceed to the stage. Dr. Dila Maghrifani get her bachelor from Universitas Gadjah Mada, and she pursuing master degree from Sheffield Hallam University, and also get the PhD from University of Western Australia. So, Dr. Dila Maghrifani, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, my dear colleagues and my esteemed and distinguished guests. Due to the time constraint, we will not have a longer time for having these discussions, but I will make it very short, interesting, but still insightful for this conference. So, good morning for all my dear esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests. In this morning, I sincerely hope that we all in excellent health and prosperity. That's the most important thing in our uncertainty world nowadays. And thank you for joining us and contributing to what promises to be an enlightening and enriching experience for all in the 2024 Sebelas Maret International Conference on Digital Economy, Navigating Digital Transformations in an Era of Global Volatility. Please give a round of applause for our conference today. Please give me a permission to introduce myself. My name is Dila Maghrifani. You can call me Dila, and I'm very honored to be your moderator for today's plenary sessions on this conference. Because in today's era of global volatility, digital transformations is more crucial than ever. So therefore, we have three exceptional speakers who will bring a wealth of knowledge, experience, and unique perspective that are sure to enrich our discussions today. Before they giving their presentations, please allow me to introduce our three speakers today. Okay, so before we starting the presentations, please allow me to read some rules and guidance to ensure the smooth flow of our today's sessions. Kindly switch your mobile phone to silent mode to avoid any disruptions during the presentations. We expect all the participants to conduct themselves with respect and professionalism throughout this conference. Each speaker will have 10 minutes for their presentations, and we kindly ask all speakers adhere to their allotted time to ensure we stay on schedule. And if you encounter any technical issue, please notify the technical supports as soon as possible. And then we will have 10 minutes Q&A sessions after all speakers' presentations. I know that it's never enough to have nice discussions with our exceptional speakers, so please take the optimum advantage during this conference. And please keep your questions then and comments concise to allow as many participants as possible to engage with the speakers. I do apologize to being different in this international conference. To call our exceptional speakers, I will call it using a pantun. I'm not sure whether what is the English term of pantun. Maybe Mr. Prof. Lau and Prof. Wee, you know pantun, right? What is the English term of pantun, Prof? Pantun is still pantun. Prof. Kabir Hasan, are you familiar with pantun? How could I define it? Pantun is kind of traditional poetry. It has a diction with a rhyme. So instead of reading the long CV of our exceptional speakers, and I don't have the time for that, I will call them one by one using a pantun, and to bring our traditional culture in this international conference. But I don't know, in Indonesia, sure, we usually say cakep, something like that. Cakep is handsome. I don't know. I don't know how to translate it in English actually, but yes, that's still our traditional cultures. So the first one. Are you ready with cakep, guys? Yes. Okay. Yes. In the garden, flowers bloom so bright.
Cakep.
Roses, sunflowers will grow.
Cakep.
Today we will gain new insight.
Cakep.
With the only one, Professor Evan Lau. Please join me giving a round of applause for Professor Evan Lau from University of Malaysia, Sarawak, Malaysia. One big applause again for me to have this pantun, please. Please be seated, Prof. It's a bit challenging to make a pantun in English, actually. Pantun in English, yeah. Two funny words, yeah. Pantun in English. And in the second one, it's always about garden. So hopefully that our day will be blossom and with full of flowers until the end of this conference. Friends, cakep again, yeah. In the garden, butterflies play.
Cakep.
The morning sun begins to rise.
Cakep.
Let's welcome with a bright array, Prof. Wee with the knowledge wise. So please join me in giving a round of applause for Prof. Wee from University Science Malaysia. Thank you, Prof. Then the last but not least, Pak Andi. Why?
Cakep.
Oh, cakep. And before Pak Andi, I would like to say something about our speakers today. Prof. Evan Lau is one of my inspiring role model because he is always as one of model for being stylish academia. You can directly point out it's really insightful for choosing the fashions. Ya Pak ya? And for Mr. W is also one of my inspiring academia because he always demonstrates that one, your patience, and you will go with your patience and you can be truly the expert of it. I know that Mr. W is really patient in his experts and now he becomes really the masterpiece of that. And okay, so this is our last but not least speakers. The one and only Pak Andi. Pak Andi in English atau in Indonesia Pak pantunnya Pak? Without pantun. Saya sudah buat Pak. I already made it, so please enjoy my pantun. So this is my staff Tian Risfandi. Under the moon, the stars gleam bright.
Cakep.
In the calm of the silent night.
Cakep.
With warm hearts and smiles alight, welcome Mr. Andi. Please share your insight. Please join me in giving a round of applause for Pak Andi from Universitas Sebelas Maret, Surakarta, Indonesia. Please Pak Andi. And Pak Andi is also one of role model in the UNS for me because he always showing an environment of supporting each other and we will progressing together. That's I learned a lot from Pak Andi. So not for waiting longer again, I would like to remind that each speakers have 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, so we will distribute 5 minutes from Pak Andi to Q&A sessions. Okay, Pak Andi? So let's start with our first speaker, Prof. Evan Lau, with title Empowering Sustainable Digital Transformations Through Education. 10 minutes and podium is yours, Pak.
All right, this works. Right, thank you very much for the very enlightening introduction using pantun. This is the first time, and the pantun is in English. This something unusual. But very good morning to everyone. Very good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm always delighted and honored to be invited here in Solo. It feels like a second home always. And last week I was at Jogja. This week I was at Solo. So it's a rather interesting things here. So let us go straight. So my whole idea of my speech here this morning, other than my two esteemed speakers here also, and of course the keynote this morning, Professor Kabir Hassan and Professor John Goodale just now, it touched a little bit something on, I look into different perspective of how we can enhance further sustainable, what I call a sustainable digital transformation through education. Means that how education plays a significant role. Education means that what we involve in right now, our core business, you know. Can you control this? Which part? This. Okay, yeah, I think I just go through myself. Right, very shortly, today we are living in the, we're still living in the VUCA world. We call it volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, which needs a kind of very much of a non-linear solution, which already been proposed a lot by the keynote just now. I don't want to go into repeated the same thing again. For example, the mention about Islamic finance, Islamic social finance and whatnot, which we're living in the kind of the world we are still living of full volatility, uncertainty, complexity, right? Which needs the kind of solution that's been mentioned up there. Visibility, unconstrained, connected. AI is what we're doing on the positive side. And then on the vision, understanding, clarity and agility. Resilient, this is what we are fighting in this world of, we go through the world of sustainable or sustainable when we talk about digital transformation itself, right? Let me go straight into the next one. So the second part, which is already also mentioned by the earlier speakers, and of course I still want to mention about this, is I use the topic there, the rise of the machine, and of course I use this as a very important slide rather than looking into, so put the pictures about, right, we are living in this world today, which we thought was just a movie in the 90s or in the 80s, but today it's becoming a reality. Machine seems to be, I don't want to use the word control, but machines seems to be living a very important, significant part of our life today. We carry a machine everywhere we go. That is what we call our handphone today, right? We sleep with the handphone every day. Perhaps we sleep more with the handphone rather than our wife or husband. Because we bring the phone wherever we go, including the toilet. Right? So anyhow, that's the machine, how machine have impact our life, and part of digital, the theme of the conference about digital transformation is have becoming an important part of the bright side and the dark side of it, right? And the rise of the machine is there, it's reality today. And of course, we come from the world, something like this, somewhere in the 90s. I played this kind of Game Boy, but today you don't see this anymore. I think the kids today do not know what is this actually. This is part of our games that we play today. I mean, 20, 30 years ago. But today, we play different types of game because, of course, things have changed for the better, right? Of course, and then this is one of the best, other than the Terminator just now, this is one of the best literature review when you talk about digital transformation. And of course, the movie is still there. Until today, when they talk about Oracle and so on. In the 90s, I don't even understand what is actually that. But today seems it makes sense. It makes sense because of the transformation, digitally transformed as we have. Digitalization has been mentioned by Professor Kabayasan just now. And of course, things have also evolved from telephone into this one and more towards Bitcoin and whatnot today. That's how the transformation, evolution happens. So these are the so-called like the issues that I want to bring up, right? The third, and where are we today in terms of transformation, right? Numbers of years back, even before the pandemic, we have mentioned about Industry 4.0 or Society 4.0. And of course, inside the pandemic, we mentioned about Society 5.0 and so on and so on. So there's a lot more to offer from there, where we come from, and the industry came from what we go from manual into automation. What's next after automation? So that's, I think, the question, the machine, the issue that I've been mentioned. So Internet of Things is nothing new, also been mentioned just now by the keynote. I do not want to repeat what is it all about, but IoT is becoming an important part, not just for industry, but also important parts of businesses, and the rest of, even in education itself, right? And a part of our life. We talk about smart city and so on and so on, right? What have changed us, the way that we live today because of all the transformation digitally that have changed the whole thing. So I bring up this issue. And of course, the third part, the important part which I put there, twin disruption or disruption. What is the twin disruption? The first one is about digitalization, which is the digital transformation. The second one is about the pandemic disruption, both at the same time, which create the VUCA situation more interestingly. This is not from me, I got it from internet. Who led the digital transformation of company? Perhaps before this is A and B, but because of the pandemic, now they say that because of COVID-19, because COVID-19 pushed further the transformation actually, pushed further and further of what we are today, right? You have the conference today in hybrid mode. In 2018, no one thinks about hybrid conference, but today it's normal for us. 5, 6, 7 years ago, this is not normal to have hybrid. What is hybrid? What is online class and what not related to that? But today it's becoming more and more common because we accept that and the way of life. And digitally have changed a lot of other things, right? And of course, this is been said by IBM. in the future, for now and towards the, the work or what kind of work that is offers for the future in terms of, we have AI psychologists, chief productivity officer, personal medical counselor, and related. Drone manager, imagine that. You never heard about that 10 years ago. Elderly yoga instructor, caregiving specialists, is becoming an industry. And I've read one article quite recently, says that caring economy, has becoming, I think, will become one of the major industry in the coming future. Which is interesting. Why? Because of what? Because of what changes around us, not just the digital, but of course the pandemic and whatnot that push further into that. What needed in the future, what needed more in the future, right? And as my important point is that how all these things happen and how education plays an important role. I always put this citation because for me this is very important citation. No matter where we are, education is always a powerful weapon that can change the world. Despite that very small things, whether you are the cikgu in the school or just parents in terms of parenting your children, we promote education formally and informally in that sense. Whether it's a formal education or informal education is important, and I try to link with sustainable development goals as what Prof. Kabir Hassan also did in some way just now. From MDG to SDG to ESG, even to SRI, they're talking about that today, which include all the values rather than just coming up with profit, right? That's all need education. You need to understand what is SDG, how that can bring up sustainable development, bring up digital transformation further in terms of bringing up the value and impact rather than looking into the negative side and the black side or the black box of it, right? I try to, this is from a report actually, it says that sustainable development post-2015 begin with education. Means that with proper education, not just understanding what is SDG, but how to implement, how to put part of education, how we've been educated in such a way, not just awareness, but going further than that. Writing article, promote to people, says that what's the important part of ESG and whatnot, and share with the world other parts of experience. And that, for me, I look into the perspective of education. Doesn't matter where we are, right? Doesn't matter what we are doing, right? I just gone through this. And the other part that have been emphasized in the university is about how to promote further SDG in the universities. No matter what field you are in, it's not just about economics and business, or fintech or whatnot, but all the sciences, non-sciences are involved in championing SDG, not just one specific field and whatnot, not just digital marketing, but everyone else involved in. The role of education is very important to ensure that not just the SDG be achieved, but at the same time, we also ensure that what I call a sustainable digital transformation. Digital transformation is already happening, but we have to ensure, and will be more after this, we have to ensure that it's sustainable for the next generation, not just for us right now, We're doing this not just for us, but for the next generation, right? That's the important part. And this one, I do not want to go into detail, but I'm going into, let me just put up the summary, because my pretty moderator says 10 minutes. So this is one of the good, nice picture of, this is not AI generated, it's original picture, it's just been enhanced. It's original picture in Unimas. Anyhow, SRIS ESG is not new, sustainable responsible investment. What is responsible investment? Means that sustainable investment in the sense of perhaps you put in some values, Islamic value, Islamic social finance has been mentioned just now by Professor Kabir Hassan. That can become an important guideline towards this direction, right? It's not new. Indonesia, Malaysia, a lot of other countries in the world are moving into this direction. And we hope we can champion, in this region, we can champion that part of it. We can become the champion of what we call as sustainable investment. Right? More towards environment, social and governance, not just environment. For me, a lot of firms perhaps forget about the social part and the governance part because we emphasize too much on environment. Nothing wrong about that, but there's more to go about it in terms of education. The role of education is still there, right? The future, I just put here the future. Okay, never mind. Right. I just summarize it down. We are living in the VUCA world. Adaptability is the key. Education equip future leaders with SDG, ESG principles, empowering them to drive change. Education, so the role of education there is very important. SDG always serve as the very good framework going forward. Doesn't matter what we are doing. Pre-pandemic investment in machine, AI, digital transformation proved valuable because that's what we see now. That's what we see now. On the positive side, I always agreed on the what Prof. Kabir just now said, talking about, we look at the positive side, not just about, the negative side. Of course, there's always a negative side of what we are doing. Right? Education enable informed decision making at rapid technological advancement and global interdependence, because education can be a voice to all, whether from rural, whether it's from the urban, to achieve what we're supposed to do. And the last point there is that economic growth with boundaries means that, has been promoted by this report of Boston Consultant Group quite recently. They have this model, says that how the future economy can grow, but within a boundary of planetary, social, connective, technological, and social, means that the focus not just about environmental, the first one. The second one is more about how we connect connectively with each other. And then technological, there's always a limit of technology. Yes, we always want advancement, but there's a limit for that. And social, how far we go to contribute back to the society. That's what I want to say this particular morning. And just 1 minute, half a second to promote our conference that's coming up in September. So please, those interested, do contact me, do come, and that's it. That's me, and I'm still wearing the same coat of the inside the picture. It was some years ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Evan Lau, for your insightful comments. I think so nice, Professor Evan Lau, because already mentioned the key message, which enlightens my job today, because already summary the presentations today. And I'm just wondering, nowadays we are living in the Terminator or Matrix world. Maybe in the future decades we will live in interstellar world. Maybe you're already familiar with the Interstellar movie, which we are going to be in metaverse world. Well, maybe now we don't have any imaginations about that, like what we did with the Matrix before, but maybe. And maybe Prof. Evan Lau will come in the future decades to bring the metaverse banking things or something like that. Okay, so it's really interesting to know anything about the VUCA world. And now it's my honor to call Prof. Wee to bring about 3Ds. Please giving me a round of applause for Prof. Wee from University Science Malaysia. 10 minutes and podium are yours, Prof.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I can just present here from here. It will be more relaxed if we can take these communications.
Yep.
Basically, I'm trying to share with you. Sorry. Oh, this. Okay. Okay. A bit on my research related to digital transformations. I'm trying to align my talk this morning with the theme of the conference, which is navigating digital transformations. So I have some work on this, which is at the corporate finance, firm level kind of research. So along the journey, I have learned about this new area of research in the finance. Okay, I'm not sure we have time because I was preparing for sorry. Yeah, maybe I will start with this slide. When I search on the latest definitions on digital transformations, and then I encounter these slides. We can watch this video first.
With digital transformation initiatives steadily on the rise, many companies are asking themselves the question, what is digital transformation? Digital transformation is the technology-driven evolution of your operations, product life cycles, and business models to meet the changing expectations of your customers and workforce. It's a strategic initiative to modernize your processes, streamline more efficient ways of working, and create new opportunities to provide value to customers, facilitated by digital technologies. At PTC, we think of it as closing the loop between your digital and physical worlds, so you can bring more innovative products and solutions to the market while building a dynamic, highly engaged workforce. For industrial enterprises,
now, okay, we have another slide, right, before that? I'm not really controlling this, sorry. Yeah, this one. Now, when I search online, I found this slide, which is quite, I would say, new. Because back then, like 3 or 4 years ago, when I started doing some work on digitalizations, so the research work a lot focuses on digital adoptions, okay, digital adoptions. So recently, when I see this slide, I think I want to share with you all who may be interested to move into this area of digital transformations. So there's a definitions from digitizations. I think there is a auto set time to move from slide to slide. That's the issues. So digitization is about process of changing from analog to digital form. Basically, it's a technology improvement. Then we have digitalization, which is a very common word over the last few years, referring to some relates to digital transformations. But in this slide, the definition is slightly different. Digitalization is the process of using digital technology and information to transform certain operations. Whereas digital transformations, it refers to a more holistic approach of doing digitalizations, not only on certain business processes, but it's about the whole perspective change at the organization level, okay? That refers to the process of optimizing and transforming the institutional operation as well as the strategic directions. So from here, basically, if you are doing a research, you can actually focus on either one of these, or at a more wider level of it, which is digital transformations. So what is the difference? Okay, we already watched this. If you refer to a pyramid, basically digitalization is to turn your operation technology into digital devices or equipment, whereas digitalizations is to turn the whole unit of, for example, the productions or the marketing or the HR. Whereas digital transformation is at the peak of your strategic setting. It's about your business perspective. So this is a more, I would say, strict definitions of what is digital transformations. It's not about adopting technology, but it's more of changing your business perspective. Okay, that is digital transformations. Of course, you can have a lot of different digital transformation technology. And what happened after the outbreak of the COVID? Digitalizations, as Prof. Ivan said just now, this is already there since before the COVID. It was, I think, quite some time already. I already touched on this topic like more than about 10 years ago. But recently, we see really fast moving of this kind of research as well in terms of finance. So everyone know that after COVID, a lot of behavioral change, and I shared this slide in a keynote 2 years ago in a conference where McKinsey in late 2020 already have a formal report on what expected to be coming after the COVID. And one of it, the major one, will be the digitalizations or digital transformation. So how important is this digital transformation in the context of research? Here I list out the first slide here showing the firm level research on how digital transformation actually making change on firm internally. So we have already quite a numbers of literature focusing on digital transformations, where they found that it can increase resource management capabilities, bring more substantial information acquisitions, analysis, and transmissions of capabilities to enterprises, and many other impact on the business processes. Integrate business processes and daily business activity through digital technology will achieve cost reductions and efficiency. It will also enhance enterprise innovations capability. This is one of the very popular research area now, innovations. Improve sustainable development capabilities, and improve enterprise development mode by driving strategic change. Actually, in finance also, the last 2 years, I have also reviewed some people who have moved into impact on strategic change in the context of finance. And in one of the papers that I just reviewed like a week ago, so that's why I don't have the names of the author, but the paper already accepted by one of the Q1 journal. It shows that digital transformations will inhibit the manager's assess perks consumptions, which is the remunerations. And there's also another group of literature working on how digital transformations will affect firms externally, the business environment. So I collect this literature and list them down here. Many are studying the supply chain. Digital transformation will allow firms to assess global customer and suppliers at lower level, especially on SME and individual. It will enable firms to adapt more quickly to market change of customer demand. This is more on the external environment of the firms. It will also alter structure and configurations of the supply chain, improve responsiveness and flexibility through more efficient information flow and resource allocations, which allow firms to participate in global value chain effectively and enhancing the positioning. It will provide enterprise with practical diversification pathway, driving rapid growth in global trade, especially on export, enhance enterprise ability to respond to international trade risks, cross-border e-commerce, and early digitalization will also establish export capability. And again, another paper, it's a different paper, which I also reviewed recently, focus on digital transformations can enhance export resilience of firms. So from here, I start to sense that this digital transformation is moving very fast into finance research as well. And people already have a proxy, how to measure this. And most of them are using text mining kind of measurement on how much firms have done on digitalization. So next, I'm going to share with you what I have did on this topic. I'm using slightly different approach. And this work has been completed like actually 3 years ago. And it is under, we have submitted to a journal and is in second revisions. So basically the premise is we think that in this context of digitalizations, CEO is the key person who make decisions, okay? How fast and how much firm will move into digital transformations. And based on upper echelon theory, we know that every key decisions made by the top management basically is driven by the attribute. Okay, so our research is focuses a lot on the personal profile of the CEO. Okay, let me, and why the CEO can drive digital transformation, basically because they are the key decision maker, and it also highly related to the power that they have. Not every CEO have high power in controlling the firm. So in the research, we would also like to link to the power of CEO. And in the paper that I mentioned just now, which is under review by the Journal of General Management, the key takeaway from this paper is how we measure digitalizations. Basically, we have 4 different kinds of proxy, and 3 years passing, when I look at the slide at the beginning that I show you how digitalization and digital transformation is different, basically what we are doing here is more to digital transformations. We are trying to capture how the company is actually moving into strategic change in terms of the business digital transformations. Okay, so our proxy here we have 4. Number 1 is a key person in RL4, which is the expertise of the CEO, whether it is related to any of the keyword that reflects digital technology keywords like machine learning, blockchain, and robotics, and so on in the profile of the CEO. And the second measurement is we check the sample firms whether they have set up this position called Chief Information Officer or Chief Digital Officer. That is a reflect of how the firm serious in doing digital transformations.
2 minutes left, Prof.
Yeah, and the third one is the setup of technology committees. And finally, we also have quite unique data on the customer list of the firms. We identify the top digital technology provider, and we screen through the list of customer of the firms if they are having transactions with those digital platform or technology provider, meaning that they are purchasing digital technology or adopting the latest technology like cloud and so on. So I'm just going to skip to the result. Basically, we try to link whether certain profile of the CEO is highly linked to the so-called digital transformations. Back then, the keyword we used was digital adoptions. But now, basically, the keyword more popular, more clearly defined is digital transformations.
Can we have a technical assistance, please? Yep.
Yeah, so basically we found some significant results where the profile of the CEO, among the profile, the duality and also CEO age are related to digital transformations. And of course, not all the proxy are highly significant. Mostly it's on the customer as well as the posting. So the conclusion of the paper is we found that the characteristic of the CEO do contribute or making a difference whether a firm doing digital transformations. Okay, so basically I think this kind of research will become more and more popular for the maybe 2-3 years to come in terms of the finance area. Thank you very much.
Thank you for Prof. Wee for the insightful remarks. It's all about the digitalizations and digital transformations. And digital transformations usually is being recently used for the substitutions for the digital adoptions in the beginning. So just moving forward to our last speakers, Bapak Andi, please strictly 10 minutes and podium is yours, Bapak.
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I think I need to stand up, and I don't know if this works up to there, but my friends, please go to next slide when I say next. Okay, please open my slides. Did you got it? Okay, while waiting, at this moment I would like to say thanks to Professor Kabir Hasan. Actually, he is not only my mentor, but also he saved my life, really saved my life. Because at the time I was in United States, in New Orleans, and at that time
the city was hit by Hurricane Ida, and it was like 4 days and more, because I only 4 days there and then I go back. 4 days without electricity, so meaning that I cannot eat anything because when I need to cook, it has to using the electricity, and then no electricity, and then no one selling food and etc. And then at the time, Professor Kabirasan coming to my apartment and giving some food, and I'm feeling that, okay, I saved from starvation, like that. Okay, and I would like to say thanks also to Professor Rizal Yaya from Yogyakarta. It's very far from Yogyakarta and coming from here. Thank you very much, Prof. And at this moment, I would like to, maybe share with all of you participants about my 2 last research related to the digitalization, and I would like to share from 2 perspectives. The first one is from micro perspective, and the second one is from macro perspective. But I only have 10 minutes, but I will make it very short. Okay, next, please. So the first one that I would like to present is that from the micro perspective, this paper is a working paper, and we have submitted to the journal, and after 2 rounds of review, it got rejected. So it's part of life. It's very sad, but then, if, for example, if some of you already submitted to the journal and then you got rejection, actually it's part of life as a researcher. So, okay, next. When we see Indonesia, so actually Indonesia has a lot of potential regarding digitalization. We are consisting of 270 million of population, and then when we see next, when we see from all of the population, most of them have a mobile phone, or they have the internet, or they have the connection, meaning that the development of digitalization in Indonesia, it's very, very rapid and very fast. And then in this research, why I try to link between digitalization and consumption, because on the other hand, we could see also that the consumption, of course, it has like significant impact on the GDP of Indonesia, and then it constitute more than 60%, and most of them also in any countries, it has a substantial impact. Next. And then in my paper, what I do with my co-authors, so we look at how digital finance could have role in increasing the consumption, and then we also see whether the consumption in Indonesian households is also affected by COVID-19, because 2 years ago, we have a COVID-19, and then we see whether the consumption is also affected by COVID-19. And in the third purpose in our study, we would like to investigate whether digital finance can decrease the negative impact of COVID-19 on consumption. So we see the link between the digital finance and consumption, and we would like to see whether the digitalization can decrease the negative impact of COVID-19. Next. So we use primary data, so we distribute questionnaires to 1,500 participants in Java and Sumatra, and we make a proportional, we try to make a proportional number of samples in each province based on the total household population in the province. Okay, next. This is the econometric strategy. So our dependent variable is consumption, and independent variable is digital finance and COVID, and also other control variables. Okay, next. So next. Okay, so what we find actually, the main thing that we find is that the digital finance, so when we see a 3-star there in all sample and informal sector, we see that digital finance, they can substantially or significantly increase the consumption level for household in Indonesia through a survey of 1,500 household in Java and Sumatra. And when we try to compare between informal sector and public sector, we see that for the informal sector, the impact is more higher, because it's significant in 3 stars, and the public sector, it is only 1 star, and even in private sector, they have no impact, okay? And then when we see a COVID, it is very interesting that COVID in informal, public sector, and private sector, they has no impact. They has no impact on consumption. Why? We thought that it is because of one of the government program in making, for example, some relaxation of the credit, in making they give some money, they give a money transfer to the household, and then the household can maintain their consumption level even if it is during the COVID-19. So we go to the conclusion. Next again. Yes. So our finding support some prior studies that digital finance has been empirically proven to be an avenue to increase household consumption. So actually, the main result of our paper is actually aligned with the previous research. Next. But then in our paper we also find that the non-significant impact of COVID-19 it might, as I said, it might suggest the success of government programs such as Pemulihan Ekonomi Nasional, and then we also, the Indonesian government also recorded that they already allocating more than 600 trillion since the beginning of COVID-19, and so on and so on and so on. So meaning that in our paper, it already confirmed that the government's allocation money to the household is success. Okay, so we next to the my other papers. So my other papers investigate about the digitalization, competition, and bank stability. Next. So when we are talking about the digital banking, actually the penetration in the banking environment is also very high. So from some research, it's recorded that it is 58%. And then when we see the number of e-banking, many banks, they try to develop their application, like when we see maybe all of you guys have like a Brimo, and then we have like a Live in Mandiri, and we have like many applications that might be installed in our mobile phone. And also in terms of transaction value, digital banking in Indonesia between 2018 to 2023 has reached more than 4,000 trillion. Okay, next.
2 minutes left, Andi.
Okay, yes. So maybe I will skip this. Okay, so what we do in this paper, actually we jointly investigate competition and stability, and digitalization and stability. So actually a lot of papers have investigated those two separately, but we have, as the best that I know, that we didn't find any papers that investigate those two jointly. And then how to do that? So we use annual report data from Central Bank of Indonesia, and also from the specific bank that become our sample. And at the end we have 160 banks from 2040 to 2021, resulting in 651 observation. Next. So this is our economic strategy. So the dependent variable is Z-score as a proxy for risks, and also our independent variable is runner index as a proxy for market competition. And we also have a digital products, number of digital products, and COVID-19. Actually, our data is can be freely available from the Bank Focus or from the website of website of Bank Indonesia. But the most challenging is that because for this research we try to make it hand collected. So we try to open the annual report one by one, and we see how many digital products that banks can provide by year and for each bank. Next. So we move to the next again. Okay, so just pass to the conclusion. Okay, so what we find, and it is very interesting. The first one is that digitalization, we find that the digitalization actually they will have negative impact on stability. So what does it mean? It means that sometimes for many banks, in our sample is in Indonesian bank, the digitalization does not always benefit for bank stability. What does it mean? It means that sometimes maybe bank, they are not in the specific level that they transform their bank status to the digital banking, or maybe they don't have any significant resources to transfer their bank into the digital bank. So at the time, digitalization also always associated with a lot of costs or high costs. So what we find is that the digitalization, surprisingly, it will decrease the stability of the bank. And then for other finding that we obtain is that banks remain stable during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the stability of the banks in Indonesia, surprisingly, is still okay during the pandemic. So we don't find any negative impact of COVID-19 to the stability of the bank. Why? Actually, this also confirms our finding using the primary data that I present previously. Because the government has successfully, in the case of bank, the government has successfully giving some credit relaxation, and then to make sure that banks, they are operate based on the normal way. So I think that's all for me. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry for our mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So please join me, please, to giving round applause for our three exceptional speakers. And it's really interesting to know what happens in our digital economy environment in the VUCA era, or volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And yeah, this is the word nowadays. After 2 rounds of revisions and still rejected, yeah, Pak. That's normal things. So please be strong, friends. All right, so let's directly going forward to our questions sessions. We only have 10 minutes, so I would like to invite 2 questions for now, and if we still have a time, then we will move to another questions. Please, 2 questions first. Yes. Please, technical assistance for the microphone, please. Is there any other questions? Yep. In the center with Batik.
Thank you so much. I'm Rizal Yahya from Faculty Economics and Business, Tas Muhammadiyah, Yogyakarta. I would like to raise a question to Prof. Evan Lau. Based on the study by Prof. Hui, that the key person in the company is those who give the impact on the transformation, like CEO and others. Of course, then the transformation, then having the good quality people understanding about the transformation of digital, it is based from the previous when they get education at the university, which is Prof. Evan Lau already discussed. Now, in this case, how transformation in our business school, there's in China, as far as I heard, that they are reducing number of study program which is social, and then they develop more on the IT development. But then we already have our business school. In our business school, I would like to raise how we're going to transform that we can produce good quality people, then can do the transformation in the companies. Just one question. I think the others will ask. Thank you so much. Maybe Prof. Hui can also give answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the questions. And we just directly going to the second questions and then answers together with our 3 speakers.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Bambang. I'm from Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta, and I'm also a student of Pak Andi. I'd like to ask a question to Prof. Boy from USM. I'm interested in digital transformation research. I have a question related to the measurement of digital transformations. My question is simple. What are the challenges for the researchers related to how to measure the digital transformation by itself, so we can take conclusion that the proxy or the measurements are good to do research? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. So I think just directly answer the first questions by...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. Rizal, actually, for that very important indication about the one that I touched actually on. I'm talking about how education can actually play an important role to ensure that perhaps we train this kind of people so that in the end of the day, they will be able to transform the firm or business or even other sectors into what we want to do. I mean, it has been such a way. We train doctors, we train teachers, we train and so on in the university, not just in the university, but when I talk about not just in the university, but generally education itself have been doing that. We actually train also the leaders of the country and so on in education in that sense, not just in university. So back to that, I think question is that the measurement and how actually CEOs plays an important role. For my perspective is that, of course, the CEO must have that kind of understanding and have that kind of passion, of course, towards that direction that they want to do. But in terms of the proper measurement, in terms of the proxy used, especially in Prof. Hui paper, I think best that he would explain it by himself. All right, thank you.
Okay, let me just add on the first question. I would just like to share the experience that my School of Management, USM, has experienced. Because 2 years ago, we offer a new program called Master of Business Analytics, which is basically teaching a lot of so-called digital technology in the business applications. This is basically the urge from the Ministry of Science in Malaysia, where they already see that this trend is coming. This is back in 2017. So we have started embarked on this journey, top down from the ministry. So we were sent to, I think they go to every university in Malaysia, the public university and private as well. Then we were sent to certain so-called technology provider to learn up things like R, Python, free. So my university or my school, I was the deputy dean that time. We were the only one from public university actually subscribe to this, believe in this. And we just go ahead with sending, we want to embark to this program to offer this new bachelor. And we send our staff to retool and train. Because you have only two options. Because you need to teach this kind of technology in business school, it's either you have to retool, you have to ask your marketing lecturer, your accounting lecturer or finance lecturer, are you willing to learn up Python? Are you going to learn up database? Not a database, the usual one is a very complicated cloud, you know. So myself has also went to all this training, and after that we straight away draft out new program. And fortunately in my school that time we even have engineer. We have one engineer who are teaching business mathematics. We have computer science based industry people coming joining us teaching operation research. So we have some hands actually. And in 2001 during COVID, we were the first public university in Malaysia launching this program. And until now, we're still the only one. Other universities is trying to adopt, but the challenge will be, do you have the hand? I mean, as you say, the lecturer, are they able to teach, for example, machine learnings in finance, in investment, optimizations, in investment portfolio theory, accounting, visualization, those things. My experience is yes, as long as you have proper transforming mechanism, incentive, send your staff. At the same time, of course, you also need to recruit. Subsequently, we recruit one hardcore computer science PhD join us, and after that we recruit another 2 or 3. So we have to slowly, because you cannot wait. Everyone will say no. Why I need to go through again another PhD, right? So we did it, and now this program is one of our cash cow. We started from projecting, we get 30 students, and grow every year 50%, and up. I mean, not every year. 1 year is a 1 year master program, two semester, and every semester we grow 300%. Because this is the only product, and the demand is really high. So this is coming to educations, to business school, because computer science is training data science. It's different. We are training business applications, so it's called business analytics, not business analysts. And I think this is coming to every business school sooner or later. Okay, that is for the first questions. For the second question, digital transformation research, as I coin it, digital transformation referring to holistic change of firm business processes, the perspective. Not only the certain processes, but holistic change. The whole business product, customer segmentation and so on, into digital kind of setting. Measurement so far, the paper that I reviewed so far, I mean in the area of accounting and perhaps some economics as well, they are still using text mining. The paper that I reviewed is actually for Q1, SSCI, but they are quite good paper. Very strong story, and I surprised to find out from the literature of those papers, there are so many published papers already. As I shared just now, for the micro internal process, as well as the external like trade, they link digital to trade at the firm level. But they are using text mining, meaning that it brings another message. This digitalization also come into research in academic. It's not only business or students, but also our research. We need to have certain digital skill to do our hardcore area. We need to do text mining. You can seek the help from your computer science colleague, but if you can pick up some coding knowledge, you can do it your own actually. So that is very popular way as what you're trying to ask. That's the most popular way, because even Q1 paper is using that kind of techniques. But what I share was another approach where we already use, and I think although we are using the word digital adoptions, I think what we are measuring is at the strategic level, digital transformations, because we are looking at post-transformation where firms agree to do digital transformation. They set up the technology committee, at the board level, technology committee or digital committee. They are having CEO profile mentioning the keyword of the digital keyword like AI, like machine learning in the profile. So meaning that they're already doing transformations. The person already carry that kind of consciousness. And also the customer, the actions, they already purchase the digital technology. They already have a transaction, for example, with the cloud platform provider, certain AI machine provider. So I think what we suggest is perhaps can be more precise. For what I see the next few years maybe is more on the breakthrough of measuring digital transformations. So of course, as a reviewer, I also commend the 2 papers to use our measurement. And surprisingly, the first paper that I said already accepted by the journal, the paper just in, I think, about 6 months' time, they managed to do what we suggested, to add in the measurement that we are using, and got accepted. The second paper, I just submitted the review last week, so hopefully they can also adopt this kind of measurement. Okay, thank you. I hope I answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm afraid that we don't have any longer time, don't we? All right. Okay, but before we close our plenary sessions today, please allow us to have some two-sentence close statement from our each speakers. A bit surprising, yeah, Prof. Lau, yeah. So I hope that our exceptional speakers have two sentences for our closing remarks for this navigating digital transformations in an era of global volatility. So first, my favorite one, Prof. Lau.
Thank you very much. Right. What I can say is that we are living in a very exciting era right now, and I think we always and what we can do is that we should embark on the positive side of it, and then go further in terms of whether we are doing research, whether we're in innovation, whether in the business, or whether in whatsoever environment that we are in. So we should embark, we should adapt the change, because for me personally is that change is the only things that is constantly change. Yeah, thank you very much.
Prof. Hui.
Thank you. I think this is a timely theme for conference. Down the road, a few years, this topic will still be popular. Digital transformations in a very uncertain or volatile world. So I hope we pick up something useful for your research from this conference. And I look forward to see the paper that to be presented in the session later on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Pak Andi?
Digitalization is something that we cannot avoid. But from my perspective, I'm thinking that we cannot really successfully apply that things in all part of my life or part of our life. For example, as a lecturer myself, I prefer to teach in the class in the offline mode rather than online mode. Why? Okay, during the COVID it's okay, but now after COVID, I think offline mode is better because we can interact directly with the students, and then we can share our talks, we can speak directly and have a response without any delay. I think it's better. And also, like when I was away from my kids, from my family, when I go abroad, for example, like that, and then I have a video call with my family, well, I'm feeling that I can see his face, but I cannot hold their hands, and sometimes in my heart I'm not feeling good like that. So what I want to share with you that digitalization is part of the life that we cannot avoid, but from my point of view, in many cases we cannot put it successfully applied in all of the circumstances. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please giving me a round of applause for our exceptional speakers. I think from after the plenary sessions, the one that I can learn is the certain things is the uncertainty itself, right? So it's the certain things that the uncertainty itself. So, okay, I now return the time and microphone to the Master of Ceremonies who will guide us through the remainder of the event. And one more pantun for closing these sessions. A rose blooms by the roadside, beautiful in the morning's bay. Thank you for being by our side. Until we meet again, and goodbye. Thank you for the attention and participation. We look forward to see you in the next event of International Conference for UNS. And have a great day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of the plenary session. Thank you very much, moderator and all speakers. You may have seated. So finally, it's time to announce the best paper of this conference. Are you ready? Yes? Okay then. There were 4 best papers selected by our to in front of the stage. And I would start to announce the best speaker in business and management area. The best paper goes to Antonius Grimaldi Sonda from Universitas Gajah Mada with the title Competitive Information System and Knowledge Sabotage, the Moderating Effect of Group Identity. Please come to the stage. Okay, the next best paper is coming from economic and econometric area. The best paper goes to Hadi Ismanto from Universitas Islam Nahdlatul Ulama with the title The Role of Sales and Investment on Performance of Publicly Listed Company in Indonesia. And the third best paper is coming from Digital Finance area. The third best paper goes to Muhammad Egi Destiarno from Universitas Sebelas Maret with the title Does Digitalization Foster Economic Development? Evidence from Emerging Economies. Congratulations. And the last best paper best paper goes to Inas Nurfaida Putri from Universitas Sebelas Maret with the title Determinant of Financial Inclusion in ASEAN Countries, a comparison before and after COVID-19 pandemic. So I would like to invite the chairman of the conference, Dr. Putra Pamungkas, to join us in front of the stage, and the winner will have the big certificate for now, but don't worry guys, the committee will give you amount of money, and we thanks to Bank Jat sponsor this best paper. Okay, the next one. Congratulations! Okay, don't worry, the committee will contact you immediately after this conference end. Okay, maybe a group photo session, please. Once more. Once again, congratulations to the winner of the best paper, Sebelas Maret International Conference on Digital Economy 2024. Thank you. Okay, I have short announcement before proceeding to lunch break. I would like to invite all speakers and participants here to step outside to the hall to have a lunch break served by Swiss Bell Inn, and then the parallel session one will start promptly after lunch break at 1 p.m. The parallel room is in the 6th floor in the room Saripatojo 1, 2, 3, 4 and Keranton Ballroom. Please be ready 15 minutes before parallel session starts. So willing to this conference. Thanks to all participants here who join us. Thank you and see you at the next conference 2020. Thank you. Bye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Halo Sobat Semar, kini Anda bisa membayar UKT atau uang kuliah tunggal Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bima Mobile dari Bank Jateng. Pertama, login dengan memasukkan nomor handphone dan kata sandi akun Bima Mobile Anda. Kedua, setelah berhasil masuk ke akun Bima Mobile, pilih menu beli bayar. Ketiga, pada menu beli bayar, pilih bagian pendidikan. Keempat, pada tampilan menu pendidikan masukkan kode pembayaran dan NIM Anda. Berikut informasi konversi inisial NIM. Kelima, konfirmasi rincian pembayaran dengan mengecek ulang data. Tekan kirim apabila data Anda sudah benar. Terakhir, masukkan PIN, pembayaran sudah berhasil. Setelah pembayaran berhasil, akan muncul resi yang dapat Anda simpan sebagai bukti transaksi yang sah.
Pembayaran kuliah UNS melalui Bank Jateng. Kini, Anda bisa membayar uang kuliah tunggal atau UKT Universitas 11 Maret melalui Bank Jateng. Pembayaran dapat dilakukan melalui 5 cara berikut. Pertama, Anda bisa datang ke kantor Bank Jateng dan melakukan transaksi melalui teller dengan membawa nomor induk mahasiswa. Atau, Anda bisa datang ke ATM Bank Jateng. Selain itu, pembayaran juga dapat dilakukan melalui internet banking Bank Jateng, melalui virtual account bank lain, dan terakhir melalui dompet digital. Berikut panduan pembayaran kuliah melalui ATM Bank Jateng. Masukkan nomor PIN. Pilih menu pembayaran. Pilih pembayaran universitas. Masukkan kode universitas. Pilih nomor pembayaran. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Pilih jenis rekening. Lalu akan muncul tagihan mahasiswa. Transaksi sukses. Selanjutnya, panduan transaksi via internet banking Bank Jateng. Pilih menu pembayaran, pilih submenu pembayaran. Pilih penyedia jasa atau universitas. Masukkan nomor induk mahasiswa atau nomor tes mahasiswa. Tekan Enter. Akan muncul data tagihan. Input nomor PIN yang dikirim melalui SMS. Klik approve dan pembayaran berhasil. Tunggu apa lagi? Segera bayar UKT-mu melalui Bank Jateng.